pawns, man, in the game, they get capped quick. They be out the game early.
Unless they some smart-ass pawns.
This is not meth.
We are back, episode 11 of the TDV Chronicles. We are 6 episodes now into Oz and Wire. Is that right? Are we on the same 6 and 6?
Yeah, 6.
Yeah, they're in line. We are wrapping up. Well, they're on season 3, season 4. Oz is on 4. Wire is the overachiever, still on 3. Breaking Bad, we wrap up Breaking Bad season 3. We will rank that tonight, compared with all the other episodes. Overall, I think one, we're trying a new style. We've heard all the reports. Actually, we've heard 0 reports. We've actually just talked internally. I felt like I was talking far too much on the show overall, but like I don't think it was a bad thing. It was more like The Wire, I think, was being underappreciated because of someone that hasn't really seen the show. I was struggling with like trying to keep notes and watching it for the first time and doing that. So I'm passing those responsibilities off to the man that should have had it the entire time, Mark Menchaca. I'm with 2 people that just love to talk on camera as much as possible, so it's rough to like let them speak up. I came up with this by myself. They didn't approach me, but I was like, we need to change something up. Matt's going to take over Oz because Mike, who is he? I'm not sure. He claims he'll be here next week. Congrats on your promotion if you're watching this. He got a promotion. He's busy. We know that, but all 3 of us are here. And then, and I will still cover Breaking Bad because that's my favorite show. So it's really easy for me to talk on that. So, Matt, how are you tonight? And today, I mean, this week of all weeks, you had to pay a little bit, I guess, more attention than you normally would have of Oz because you're having to do the recap. But overall, how are you and how was your viewing experience?
It was good. Yeah, it's definitely, I had to pay closer attention to Oz, take some better notes, maybe restart the last 20 minutes of an episode after I realized I may have fallen asleep a little bit. But hey, I mean, it's all for the show. We do it for the fans. So
we do it for to quote Zadie Smith, we do it for the people. Thanks up, Mark. Wire lover, Breaking Bad lover. I will give you back. You're back on the bandwagon. Oz lover when I don't like it, hater when I do like it. We're never on the same page most of the time. I was like, I enjoyed it. I hated it. So, Mark, how are you and how was your viewing experience?
Yeah, I do find that very funny that for whatever reason, when the panel's mixed on Oz, I'm like, oh no, I thought it was all right. Whenever that.
Do we watch the same episodes?
But no, I mean, like, I'm definitely excited here. You know, I get a chance to run the show a bit for The Wire, and I think getting into some good episodes here, be able to do that.
Give it the respect it deserves instead of calling it a police procedural.
Yeah,
I mean, it is what it is, right? It is what it is. Just because I'm passing the baton to Mark, I will not be silenced on my opinions. But I think I finally am off the D'Angelo hate train. So it's still stupid, but those.
Well, now that McNulty's backing you up, I'm sure you feel vindicated.
McNulty's got my back, buddy. Yeah. So we're gonna start with Oz. We're gonna pass it over to Matt, and then we will all like interchange, talk about things we like, dislike. It'll be a free flow. So, but go for it.
All right, so we're in season 4, episode 4, Works of Mercy. We start off kind of leading off where we left off last episode, where Beecher's children were kidnapped. We find a nice little detail is that they were lured away with Pokemon cards. I thought that was a nice little touch.
Yeah.
But of course, Beecher doesn't take the news well. And of course, Schillinger is an excellent actor when he's questioned about it, because we know that it is his son. Hank is the kidnapper. Beecher ends up talking to another prisoner famous for kidnapping who kind of looks a little like Stephen King, trying to get some information. And of course, Keller also happens to come back to prison at the same time, recovering from his gunshot wound, which there was a nice little touching sequence when Beecher made out with his gunshot wound.
Yes.
And then, of course, the kind of the end of that storyline for the week is that a Beecher gets a package in the mail, which is his son's hand. So that's nice.
Yes.
We'll touch back on him for the next episode. Lieutenant Daniels is back in Oz again. He's still getting tested by the other inmates. They used him as a heavy bag, and then tell him that's still enough. That the final test is he has to kill someone. So that's going to lead on to these next few episodes as well. The Cardinal comes to visit Oz because Keller sent him a letter about Sister Pete. So the Cardinal and Sister Pete, he gives her a little pep talk about what her next plans, if she's going to remain a nun or not. Let's see. We had a Saeed talking to everyone about the court case and how they won. And they could be getting a lot of money, but of course, as courts go, there's going to be appeals and all sorts of things. So it might be years before they see that money, if they ever do. He's also working still with Jason Kramer from the last episode, kind of going over his case. They end up talking with the homicide detective who was originally involved in that case, who is now old and sick and dying, and he confesses that he tampered with some evidence. So now it's actually looking like maybe Jason will actually get off.
Okay, this is where I'll just interject. I'm curious. Why the fuck do we care?
Because
was there a quota to hit? Like, what are we trying to do? Like, this character didn't. We need to give every character in Oz that has had at least 4 minutes of screen time. We have to conclude their story and let you know what happened to them.
Well, I think it's more of a vessel for examining a more Saeed, because it pretty much kind of shows that once he finds out that, oh, this guy might actually get off and be put back in the world, he kind of recuses himself from the case. So I think it's kind of
because everybody believes he did it, but just the evidence that they used was misleading, and they just didn't. Because even like Reba Dow is like, you can't get him off. You can't do that. I'm like, why the fuck do you care? You haven't even said a negative word about this guy. Like, he pops up after so many people have died or they're about to leave with evidence. Like, remember when the white supremacist officer was throwing people downstairs and stuff? Then he finally spoke up. He goes, "He is not one of us." You think? Like, he's already beat 7 people by the time you speak up, Riverdale.
Well, so, you're forgetting Riverdale. God speaks to him and tells him these things. So
late, using freaking dial-up connection. It's crazy.
But yeah, so like I said, he ends up getting off, and he's released from prison to go off and do further crimes. Most likely, doesn't seem like he was rehabilitated. Big thing for this episode is we are introduced to Martin Kearns, who is hired to take the place of McManus in running Emerald City. And no one could do a worse job than McManus in running Emerald City, so I'm sure he's going to do a really good job. He has a sit down with Adebisi and pretty much tells him, you can do whatever you want as long as there's no violence. As long as my numbers look good, do whatever you want.
Yeah. Oh, so we're not really having each show. We're not doing a new series, but we kind of are doing a series. You ever hear the expression, we don't know what we've got until it's gone? We thought McManus was bad. This dude is psycho. The dumbest individual that's ever walked around in Oz. And if he doesn't get killed somehow in Oz, I'm disappointed in this show. Because this is where I dropped off of Oz. In season 4, this is where I stopped watching Oz originally. So I really don't know how this show really ends at this point. But this guy, like, I don't know what episode. I don't care if I'm jumping ahead. But when he stands up and he announces the leaders of this group, and not everybody's in there, but like, the fuck are you talking about? Like, they rioted over stupid stuff in the past. This guy, if you open, he never looked at BC's like file, and I understand his logic. It makes sense, right? McManus and everybody held them too tight, so if they held them too tight, they're just going to lash out and do stuff. But if we just let him free reign on the easier stuff, maybe the violence will go down. It's still crazy behavior.
See, with McManus, at least he thought he was doing good. He just wasn't great at his job. This guy is just like willfully not doing the stuff and letting all this stuff happen.
And like every time somebody like stands up to him, he like has the most violent and like without violence, but most angry interaction possible with anybody. Like, I don't give a damn what you want. Like,
his first introductory speech.
This man's a convicted murderer.
Don't fuck with Kearns.
Yeah. This man's a convicted murderer. Are you sure you want to say that to him? Yeah,
But yeah, we're definitely going to talk more of him as we go through these episodes. And speaking of McManus, he is back. He came back to. He thought he was going to come back and go right back to work in Emerald City, and the woman's like, "I fired you." So he pretty much had to beg for his job back. It's like, that job is taken, but we have an opening over at Unit B. So McManus is over there with Schillinger and all the Unit
like
B
you
gang.
Break up with somebody and then you like have this lengthy conversation and then they come back and be like, "Hey babe, I love you." Like, no, we're done. Like, were you not present?
Like, no, wait. I thought about it. I think it's better if we stay together.
Yeah, I want my job back, bro. You've been gone a couple like weeks. We had to get a new guy. Like, what are you talking about? Yeah, singing at that funeral was weird. Yes, you think that's what we all
Might have
thought.
gone a little overboard. And then we got Ryan and Nikolai are still pretty much going back and forth about the cell phone. And Ryan gives Cyril a nice little treasure hunt to go look for it through the prison. We get a little montage of him searching through the phone. I thought was funny. Of course, Dr. Nathan comes back to work. First thing she wants to do is confront Ryan about it. Ryan denies being involved at first, but then says that he orchestrated the rape just to kind of make her happy because that's what she wanted to hear. And then Brian does end up telling Father Ray that he lied about confessing about having Dr. Nathan raped. He wasn't involved in that. So, which they kind of tricked us off with that because at the end of the last episode, they definitely made it seem like he was, but I guess he was conducting some other business on the phone. The mole returns to Oz. Riverdale is mad at him because he didn't offer to have him escape with him.
Yeah, he wonders why he's upset, and it doesn't click in his brain. Hey, you took Alvarez? What?
I think he even told him, like, I thought you would have slowed me down or something like that.
That was just wild. That was a wild take.
And then pretty much when we get to the end of this episode, we focus on Shirley. She's interviewed prior to her. It's the evening of her execution coming up. She had a Slim Fast Shake was her final meal.
Dude, talk about one of the hardest scenes to actually watch is that ending when she like realizes like she doesn't want to go in those screams. Like it was like I don't know about everybody else, but I was like, man, she's so confident the entire time until she saw the rope and was like, I don't want to do this. And then like, there's no, you're getting out of it.
Man.
I do love when she's like, hey, Warden, he's come to my cell every night to have sex with me. And it's like, we'll deal with that later. And you let him walk her still? Like, it's such a wild thing. Like, oh, I thought it was so funny.
Oh, yeah, that was perfect.
But yeah, hard scene to watch.
Oh, yeah. It is definitely I think pretty much out of like all the death row scenes that they've done, that was probably the most emotional one right there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's pretty much the end of that episode. I think it was only one kill that
Oh.
whole episode.
It's the weird sense too that Father Ray, has to ask her who the father of the baby was.
Yeah.
And she gives him the note of like it's either rain nor shine or
Yeah,
whatever.
no
like
rain or shine.
Like, and meaning like, well, and I read up on it, like I looked into it, like, because she says the father was Satan.
Mm-hmm.
But then leaves that note for Ray. One, I think it's very weird that Ray cares or wants to know like who the child, like that's not his like MO inside Oz. Like he's not like the one that's really curious about it. So it was weird that he's the one that has to ask it. Like this, I can't tell me who had sex with you. I'm curious. But then they say that, and I was like, there's a whole
sex stories.
There's a whole fan theory because of who it could possibly be, because we talk about it later in later episodes. But like,
well,
I
don't think that was like a pretty heavy hint with like the neither rain nor snow is kind of like hinting as the postman, which in Oz would be Schillinger.
Yeah, that's what they say, but I don't think they ever confirm.
Yeah, because and I think in the next episode Schillinger denies it too. So I don't think there's ever any. It's a case of he said she said. So. Yeah.
I wanted to touch on something. This is not on this episode. So, last episode we talked about the Russian and the other guy and inside the library and how it's that. So I looked into it because it was driving me nuts because they don't show him recovering in the infirmary like at all. He's never like shown with anything bandaged. He just shows back up.
Yeah.
There was a deleted scene from the show. No reason why it's the scene, but there's a person that claims to be a member of the state, and that person kills the Russian guy, and that's when he axes off the show. But they cut it off the show, and they just left it like he's gone. Like they just
crazy
because they said
never
like,
reference him.
Yeah, they say Oz's great mysteries, and one of them is like he's still in the hole. Like he's never gotten out of the hole the entire time that he's in Oz. So I thought it was interesting because they deleted that scene. But if they kept that scene, we'd all have a lot more clarity of what happened to this guy that they just disappeared. It's not like Oz has ever let like something that happened and like never touch back on it ever,
I mean, technically, Hill is still somewhere in a coffin. So
I'm telling you right now, if I ever went to a Comic-Con or something and Hill was there, like I'd be like, "How'd you get out of the coffin? Tell me how you left. You're a wheelchair bound. You got out of the coffin. Tell me how."
That's a deleted scene where Gar just like opens up the coffin, like, "Get out of there! Get back to your."
Or maybe it's possible that Oz was thinking like, "This is really fucking stupid. We can just grab it. Like, let's not talk about it next time."
So Mark, what did you think of this episode?
Just to touch on that Russian thing. I have no idea what character you guys are talking about. I didn't the last time you brought it up.
It's the villain from Home
guy with the
Alone
glasses.
3,
He takes the thing off and
like
stabs
the bowl cut.
Oh, now you clarified it. I still don't care. I don't know why we spent so much time trying to clarify it.
No, but don't you remember the part?
Like, not really. I don't care.
He's in the library. He dumps those water on all the things, and he goes, "I'm happy you'll be my 50th kill." And that guy just shows up and grabs the cell phone from Herc like it's nothing. Wait, you were dead. How are you alive right now?
Well, you know that Cody is obsessed with attempted murders that take place in prison libraries. So
yes, that was one of the dumbest scenes ever. But I was so curious because no guards around, no one's close. This man's screaming for 3 minutes and he still gets stabbed in the neck. And now he's a crucial part of Oz moving forward. And his death is he's not number 50.
He got better.
He's still that guy's still at 49.
That Russian who was like one of the greatest killers of all time just somehow like missed his vital neck organs.
Yeah, it's one of the dumbest Oz moments. That's why I'm not saying I care if that character's still involved. That's just a stupid plot point that they just say, fuck it, we missed it in the script.
I mean, it would have been so easy just to bring a different Russian person into feud with O'Reilly.
That would be the same as if the very next episode Alvarez is just back in Oz. Wait, the motherfucker just went out the hole. How did he get? Nah.
Hey, the season's
Teleportation.
not over yet. Who knows?
Yeah, right. He'll just show up at the nurse's station. He'll be in the hospital wing because that's where he spends 80% of his time in Oz is the hospital wing.
Oh man!
All right,
Yes,
go ahead,
yes.
Mark.
Yeah, still don't care.
You're jackass.
I do remember this part of the show because, kind of like you, Cody, I can't exactly remember where I stopped watching. I know it was around this time. It was around season 4. I'm pretty sure I didn't make it past season 4. I remember this part of the show being worse. I remember not liking it, and I am and kind of enjoying my time. There's still things I don't like. I'm very, very glad that this Shirley Bellinger story is over. We spent so much time with Shirley Bellinger, could not care less. And okay, good, she's dead. Death scene was cool.
Push her off.
Yeah, we're past it. All right, cool. I mean, I thought I'd hate Corns too. I didn't like his character before. I'm okay, this is actually kind of fun. I wish we started off with him instead of McManus, if I'm being honest.
Well, we'll definitely have more of him going forward.
The next episode is when Daniels gets the other task, right?
Yeah. So that's So episode 5, Gray Matter, directed by another character actor, Brian Cox, directed this episode. So
Crazy.
The second Gray Matter episode we've had to talk about on this show.
Oh,
that's true. That is true.
So this one starts off with a former police officer coming to Oz. I forgot what he was convicted for, but it was probably something stupid. But he and Lieutenant Daniels actually know each other, and they end up having a talk and come to a mutual understanding. The ex-cop thinks that Daniels is going to look out for him and help him out in jail, but that's not really so much the case.
No, it's not the case, man. Hold on. Sorry. It's not the case, because why would you think that you can just go to the gym yard and call these guys the N-word and Daniels is supposed to step up and stop them? The guy acts like, what was that? What was that? He acts like he just was passing down the street and got hit. He literally just went out of his way to call 2 of the guys the N-word and then gets punched for it. You think? That's not how a quid pro quo works at all.
And I mean, they pretty much put him in there. They hid that he was an ex-cop from everyone else, and he's not going to sit there and be quiet and just keep his head down. He's going to go start shit with people.
He actually, Daniels goes, that dude's a cop. No, he doesn't say anything. He just these guys are going to bully you. Maybe don't react. They'll let them push you around a little bit. No, he's like, N-word. What? Man, Daniels, I thought we were supposed to. Maybe they need to know who you are. Wait, how did we jump that? It was crazy.
So yeah, since Daniel still needs to kill somebody as the final test, so that this is seems to be a perfect opportunity. So Lieutenant Daniels kind of gets Hill to help him, kind of without his consent, and they push him down an elevator shaft. So that problem is solved. However,
what a wild death. And we continue the trend of introducing a character and killing them off within 10 minutes, basically 10 minutes of them in the episode. I love that. If a guy gets introduced now later in the season, there's a good 70% chance they're dying that episode. They don't make it.
Pretty much a lot of the new characters are introduced just to kind of give an existing character just a moment of growth. We also find out Daniels is doing drugs now. He started doing his own supply, so that's not great. But his partner comes to visit him again, and she can tell that he's using. And of course, Hill sees her again because she shouldn't be visiting in the first place. But that's what I think pretty much it for his story this week.
I don't think Daniels does anything else.
Yeah. The press is asking questions about the warden's brother, which, I mean, he's pretty much honest and upfront about the stuff. And they also, the governor's assistant lady kind of pretty much talks him into talking about his daughter's rape and kind of using that to help in his bid to become the lieutenant governor too. So that's the wardens having fun with all the politics and all that stuff. McManus gets a call from Diane and pretty much hangs up on her. He also fights with his guard friend for not quitting when he was fired. Which is just McManus is the worst. you should have stuck up for me and quit when I got fired. But yeah, let's see. Querns has a meeting with Saeed. And then we have another new character, Supreme Allah, comes to Oz.
What a name.
And he's
he fits it right in. He fits right in.
He becomes cellmates with poets. Querns also shuts down the prisoner council, like Cody had mentioned earlier, and he sets up a new set of trustees, which is Adebisi, Pacamo, and Morales. And then he also pretty much transfers all the Aryans and the bikers over to Gen Pop. Arif is mad that he's not one of the trustees, so the Muslims aren't being represented. Let me see. We go and spend some more time on death row. We got one of the guys doing a little self-portrait on his cell. Moses breaks his hand hitting the wall. And Dr. Nathan ends up finally coming to see Ginsburg again and tries to transfer him to the AIDS ward, but he refuses. Another new character, Patrick Keenahan, Dr. Nathan's rapist, shows up in Oz.
Crazy. Couldn't go anywhere else. Guaranteed to be found real quick.
Querns tells Nikolai that he's watching him. Hoyt and Nikolai end up fighting over the cell phone. And Ryan, the guy that he is, ends up sneaking away with the cell phone. So now he has the cell phone. Ribadao is still giving the mole the silent treatment. He's also getting boxing lessons from Cyril.
Even though he hates the idea. Ryan does.
Yeah. Ribadao asked Morales, because Morales kind of said he would kind of grant him a favor for his role in taking on El Cid, and he asked Morales to let him kill someone else. So we'll see more about that in the next episode. Beecher's not having a good time. He pretty much isn't leaving his cell or eating or anything. He has a creepy nightmare with his kids missing their hands. And then, of course, the FBI find Beecher's son dead. So, poor little kid. Father Ray talks with Schillinger. Of course, Schillinger, like we said, he denied having sex with Surly. And then Ray pleads for Schillinger not to let anything happen to Beecher's daughter, even though Schillinger denies having any involvement with anything.
Did you touch on the tattoo guy trying to stab for the phone?
Yeah, Hoyt. Yeah, Hoyt and Nikolai get in a fight, and then
Ryan. Can we talk about Hoyt being the worst person with a knife that I've ever seen in my life? He's tried twice now in the gym to stab someone, Schillinger, and now this guy, and can't get anywhere close to them with the stab. Like, this dude just shouldn't. Like, how is he the hitman of the group? Like, just to do the dirty work for people. Like,
I don't think he's really that bad of a guy. It's just people assume that he is because he's the big bad biker, and they always try to get to use him to. Or O'Reilly keeps trying to use him to get people killed. I think
why does he have to maybe pick a different weapon? He worked really well with that needle. He did real good work with the needle. It's just the knife. He swings it and he swings.
I mean, they were in the gym. There's dumbbells and stuff all over the place.
We know that works.
There's no guards around, so you can do whatever you want.
I don't know if he thinks the knife is going to extend and get longer. But he swings it like it's like an actual sword. It's a knife. It's so weird. It's
like one of the toy lightsabers. If you do this, and it'll extend.
And he gets hit in the face with a towel, and he pretty much gets like taken out by a towel. It's pretty sad.
Yeah, poor Hoyt.
Sorry, I had to touch on that. I
Oh, no,
forgot I
you're
missed that.
good. Yeah.
Oh, did you all say that Riverdale yelled at for getting out of a cell?
Oh.
Riverdale turned into a badass because he's doing they're doing count right, and then he's like Beecher's like Beecher, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Don't you know his son died? Give him." And I'm like, "All right, leave him alone." I'm like, "All right, good job, Riverdale."
We'll give you one day to mourn your son. Tomorrow you're back out for count. But yeah, the one Stephen King looking guy tells Beecher that he found out through the grapevine that Keller hired someone to do the kidnapping. So Beecher and Keller end up getting in a fight over it. And then, of course, we know Schillinger was the one involved with it. He paid the Stephen King looking guy to tell Beecher that to kind of break up him and Keller. And then at the end of the episode, pretty much Schillinger tells Hank to drop off the daughter alive.
Yeah, because Ray tells him, Ray goes, if you had anything to do with this, which I think you did, if you have a soul, don't touch his daughter. Like, let his daughter go free. And, like, it's one of the good scenes, and, like, it gets through to Beecher. By the way, that dude looks crazy like Stephen King. That is freaky.
I thought it was Stephen King. I didn't even bother looking it up. Like, oh, Stephen King. I must like, oh.
I was like, they got King in this?
It's the taxi driver from Scrooged. I looked it up, and that's what he was from.
That is.
Yeah.
Did he ever play Stephen King? Like if he's not been cast in like a TV movie, that's crazy.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw him. But yeah, so that's pretty much that episode. Pretty good episode. What'd you guys think?
I thought it was a great episode. I just love how convenient everything works in Oz. It just is always like Nathan is going to come back to work. Also, we might need to take off bad guy off of Ryan O'Reilly. Like he's not bad guy. Like he's bad guy because he didn't have a hand in it. Actually, we thought he did, but he didn't. Maybe not. He's not real bad guy. He's just bad guy. But maybe even in how Oz works, maybe he did it, and then Oz said, it'd be better if he just didn't actually do it. Because they do a really bad job of telling us that it's not him. Because in the show, it's him. And then the very next episode, it's not him. Wait. I almost rewatched
the episode. Saying it's not him?
Because I almost rewatched the episode because I was like, I swear.
Yeah, because they mad have him on the phone telling him, oh, no, you got to do it tonight. You got to make sure it's done tonight, which I don't even think in these episodes we figure out, because he has another phone call with somebody pretty much saying the same thing. So I don't know what they're talking about.
They're gaslighting us into believing that O'Reilly did not do this. I was sitting there. I was like, no, he did do this. Wild. Overall, I don't like this turn that they're putting Riverdale through. I understand it kind of makes sense, but it's just a weird arc to try. So I'm not a big fan of it. We'll find out in the very next episode. Still not it gets worse. It's slowly becoming one of the worst storylines in Oz for me. The best thing the show's done since season 4 is Alvarez has not been in it. He has disappeared, and I love that the warden, the new McManus, what's his name?
Quirms.
Worst name ever. Whatever. That guy, he sends all the Aryans out of the thing also in this episode, which I was like, and then everybody's staring, just no, it doesn't. It makes zero sense. I understand, probably bad guys, but you're sending them all to McManus. So basically, any people of minority, they're basically breaking up the races, is what it looks like in the show. And you're also
a race war, and now they're letting this guy split up the races.
Yeah. Except the Italians can stay. The Italians can fully stay. No problem. No problem. And the people that are not gang affiliated at all, they can stay in Emerald City and get tormented and destroyed.
maybe it is a good way to stop the race war. We have all the white guys over here and all the black guys. You can't have any race war if we're not in the same area, you know?
But like I said, they keep the Italians and they keep the Rebadals and Beechers and Keller, the people that don't have any affiliations in
They're
there.
not going to cause any trouble. It's okay.
No, never. I do like the progression of these episodes. I think they're fine. I think they're, again, you said it best in the chat, like when Mike goes, or Nazario, it's a 5-star show. It's got 5-star moments, but it never gets to the point of like 5-star. Like, it's what it was able to do at the time is still crazy to me. Looking back at 97, like that's crazy that they were able to. People get offended now. I'm really shocked. Like back then, that there was not like there may have been outcries, but it wasn't less because no social media at the time. But it's still crazy, like what they're able to do and like kind of put stuff on. I've thought about this a little bit more. Like as much as they are derogatory and they say some awful things, it's honestly cutting edge TV for 97. Like they have like openly gay couples and open transgender people and like open relationships that they would normally, there's people against that, but they don't shy away from it. They show it. And then they have groups and factions inside of it built on it. I think it's just crazy. Like it's fantastic.
None of the shows we're going to talk about on here would be here without Oz.
Right. No, absolutely.
It was the first one through the door, and he busted open. And usually the first person through the door doesn't get all the credit or the admiration that usually will come down the line.
I remember like people like talk bad like when this show came out about. I remember my family like HBO just has filth TV. Like I live in Missouri, so like this show is awful. My grandma was all for us, loved it. It's crazy, which was the weirdest thing. Loved it. Watched it way too early, but it's just like. Yeah, it's crazy. I definitely don't think we get violent shows like this if it wasn't for Oz to push that needle first. But yeah, I thought the episode was good. Second, Gray Matter too, which Mark pointed out, which is interesting.
Probably the better of the 2 Gray Matter episodes.
I was going to say
it is the better of the 2 Gray Matter episodes. That's pretty impressive. Not that Gray Matter was bad. It's just it is bad.
Yeah. All right, so I guess we'll go over to the 6th episode here.
Well, Mark, did you have anything you want to say on this episode? I know you talked so much.
I think we covered it.
There it is.
Okay, so this one is Word to the Wise. Starts out more white guys getting transferred out of Oz.
They didn't get them all?
No, there was still a few more they had to get to. We also have some of the white guards get transferred out. We see Adebisi now has curtain privileges. He's got a nice curtain up covering the glass walls and doors to his cell. Arif confronts Querns, and now he's kind of losing control of the Muslims. They feel like he's not really doing a good job leading them. McManus apologizes to his friend Murphy, the guard, said he's seeing a therapist now. I feel bad for that poor therapist.
God. Watch out, he's probably going to try to get with her.
Howell, the female guard, gets transferred to M City. Ginsburg over on death row asked to have his execution moved up, which they do, but then he ends up dying in his sleep the night before his execution. So that was a nice little death there. Alvarez update, he's still free and currently not on the show.
Amen.
The police are investigating the death of the ex-cop from the last episode. The warden makes sure to remind Lieutenant Daniels that he can't sell drugs, which is okay because he's taking the drugs himself.
I mean,
what about on him? Do they know what people on drugs look like? Do they know what people on drugs look like? He is loaded. Like, you're walking everywhere. Like, buddy, he ain't got to worry about him selling it. He's taking everything he can possibly get. He takes so much he even loses his accent.
Yep,
I mean, he's right to be like, hey, I killed the guy last episode. Like, we're way past selling drugs.
It's literally the Jesse Pinkman Skylar. Do not sell marijuana to my husband. Motherfucker, he's cooking meth. We're past the point of weed, buddy. Like this one was like, dude, this dude pushed a dude down the elevator shaft, and he's snorting more heroin than you can even get.
Yeah, he has a good heart-to-heart with Sister Pete, pretty much talking about how this was his first undercover case, and everyone was telling him that he wouldn't be able to do it, so he wanted to prove him wrong, and he can't do it. So he tells her that he's become an addict. So I guess there's more to that. And like Cody said, he did have the incident where in front of Hill where he dropped the accent for a second and Hill caught on. So pretty much Hill is pretty much on to him for several different things now. So that's nice. They're giving Hill something to do.
Yeah, he brings the girl back. He's dropping accents, motherfucker. You ain't who you're saying you are. He almost tries to kill him too. Like we don't even talk. Like Hill almost died because of him. He thinks he's gonna throw him off the elevator shaft.
And yeah, Cody was also talking about how Oz was groundbreaking TV for 1997, in which we have Keller taking a piss break. So yeah.
Dude, some guys are just proud of their hogs and show it as many times as they possibly can. Like some would like scary. That man just turns front brow like, "This is my dick." Like, all right, we're here. I'm like,
and this is my calling card. Like I said, they found Beecher's daughter. They find out that Keller had nothing to do with it. That it was Hank Schillinger. But Querns is still separating Keller and Beecher because of all of their fights and everything.
Wait! The guy that went to solitary for him, the one that promised that he made mistakes and made up for those mistakes and has done everything, and within 3 minutes believes a Stephen King-looking motherfucker that we've never seen, and threw Keller through the ringer.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Poor Keller.
Shocker. Wait. Your daughters were kidnapped. The moment you brought Hank Schillinger to Oz. I don't know. But I don't need to be the who's that actor that has like all the red strings like on that meme?
Yeah, Charlie. Yeah.
Charlie Day?
Yeah.
I don't have to be there to figure out this motherfucker Schillinger, you idiot.
But the FBI told him that it was Keller. Oh yeah, so Keller and Beecher have a falling out. Keller's disappointed in Beecher.
I do love that he tells his mom and dad, he goes, "It's not in. He's my lover." And they do the 1990 gasp, like, "Wait, you're gay?" Mom, I ain't got choices in this place at all. Like, even if I wasn't, I ain't got choices.
Be happy that I have a nice relationship. Well, even though I kind of burned it to the ground last week, but still.
Oh, and he does this harsh line of bury them next to my other mistake, like my wife, like bury his son, like, right. That's just one of the most like all my failures. Like that's crazy.
Yeah. Beecher goes through the ringer these few episodes here. Because now he's got a new bunkmate. They have a good time. Keller's going through it. He asks Father Ray to absolve him. Father Ray refuses. He burns his hand in the shower, and then gets to watch Beecher have sex with his new bunkmate. So yeah. Poor Keller. Bad guy, but poor guy. Morales has nobody for Rebidow to kill, but he kind of gives him his blessing if he wants to go off and kill somebody. We have a nice little fantasy of Rebidow shooting up the cafeteria with a machine gun.
Hilarious.
And then he tries to kill the mole, but it doesn't work, and he ends up in the hole. So that's kind of it for his storyline. Nikolai, who is now, I guess, in protective custody after the fight with Hoyt, tells Querns about the cell phone. So they toss the prison. They can't find it. So Nikolai asks his girlfriend to call the cell phone at precisely 5 p.m., which she does, and the cell phone rings, and they find it in Ryan's possession, which Ryan does some dumb stuff, but I have it hard to believe that he's going to leave the ringer on on this cell phone that they're not supposed to have. Maybe in 1997 you weren't able to disable the ringer on a
No,
phone.
you
I don't
were.
know.
No.
No,
We're
do not.
the benefit of the doubt here. No. It was stupid.
Or even just power it off when you're not using it. But yeah, so that's one little thing that I thought was a little convenient for the show. Cyril had an overdose on the medicine. Sister Pete is worried about Dr. Nathan and tells her that Ryan wasn't involved with her rape. We also have Ryan asking Keenan, the guy who did rape her, about the rape. And then after he tells Ryan all about the rape, he kills him with a dumbbell in the gym because that's where you kill people because there's no guards. Although Arif does see it.
Yeah.
Ryan
I
leaves
want
a
to know
note.
if that's going to actually have a lingering effect or not.
I would
Because,
hope.
like, well, because, like, just seeing him in, like, next episode, like, Sister Pete, like, sits there and goes to Nathan, like, he did not do it. Like, he admitted it. He didn't. And then he bashes her head with a flipping weight. And then what? He takes her necklace and sits.
Yep, gives her the
That's what
necklace.
every rape victim like, it's a flipping keepsake.
I mean, she was going to throw it away, but she didn't. So I guess maybe it's going to help her heal. But yeah, so pretty much she tells the warden she's going to take some time away from Oz, and she's not sure if she's going to return. And that's pretty much the end of this episode. So what'd you guys think?
I mean, I liked it. I was honestly kind of a decent fan of this episode. Probably the best one we saw this week. I mean, I thought it was funny that Cody said he didn't like Rebedow's story because I don't know, like
Mark likes the old guy wants to kill somebody.
I mean, they've done nothing with Rebedow for 4 seasons.
They don't need to.
Around. Like
he's just a kooky old man that says kooky old shit. He doesn't. Now we're gonna give him a subplot of stabbing people. What?
Crazy person. He was there on death row. We know he's insane. And of course,
he doesn't need to kill anybody.
If this storyline doesn't end up with him getting a teardrop tattoo, I'm gonna be very disappointed.
He's like Luna Lovegood in Harry Potter that just pops in and says random shit and moves along. That's all I need him to do. Like, remember the story? The best part was season 1, season 2, and he's like, when the lights went out, blah blah blah. They saved my execute. Like, he just the kooky shit. Everyone's like, I saw God. He told me not today. Like, all the perfect done. I don't need him to go to the hole.
I feel like that plays for 1 season, and then after that, he's just kind of been around. I like that they're trying something out with him, because if not, he doesn't need to be here. Like, we have like 1,000 characters in Oz.
Why is Hill still here?
Follow for no reason.
Why is Hill still
needs
here?
to narrate it. That's Mark's
good question. I don't know why he's still here. He's there because the fucking narrator. We gotta dress him up in like an old like judge garb, and so he could say some dumb shit. Which I noticed at the end.
But like, someone needs to see all the fuck ups Lieutenant Daniels is doing.
But like the inside of Oz, he doesn't do anything because it's okay to have structural characters that are a part of common life, but that do not dictate an actual storyline. What is he supposed to do? He's either get old, die, and now murder people? Like, he's too likable to stab. So what we got to do? He got to do the stabbing. That makes no sense. Though it made sense the first one, right? When they actually did something with him and they pulled it aside where he's like, we're either going to kill you or you kill him. That one made sense. Now it unlocked this secret thing that was in his head, and now he wants to start killing more people. Dumb. Dumb.
I said it before. He was on death row. He's a crazy person. Of course, the moment he kills somebody, like something's going to unlock in his head. Oh, but I like killing. I want to kill somebody.
It would make more sense if he went insane. But this one, he's like still like standing up to people.
What are you talking about?
No. He basically just got his stripes now, and he feels like he can talk back to and just shut up. Like it doesn't make any sense. They're trying to make tough Rebedow dumb. He couldn't even kill the mole. He's terrible at it. So he's a guy that wants to do it.
Wanting to kill someone and being able to kill someone are two different things.
Gosh, of course. Of course. Mark's like, we gotta do something with Reba now. He's just at the fucking table. Like, if he keeps sitting there anymore, I'm gonna go crazy.
Anyway, I like Reba's story going forward. And of course, O'Reilly and Beecher, they're the best. They're still the best things of the show. Beecher being like doing some revenge sex, kind of funny, weird, and then even though like it's super weird, I really like what they're doing with O'Reilly. Like this kind of love torn, like this torn lover thing he's got going on. Like it's so odd, but I really want to see where it's going.
Okay. Did you ask me something?
Yeah.
No,
okay, give me a pause. I was just making sure I wasn't like losing my mind.
Yeah, I was done.
I blanked out. Yeah, I think the episode was fine. I think we're in the middle of Oz right now. This is a long season, so I don't know the staying power of this show. Like
I think
there's
going to be like a mid-season ending, and then we're pretty much going to get a new season.
Right.
Unofficial.
It's because it's brewing to something.
Yeah.
It doesn't make it like the separation, they're dividing people, so something's got to break. So I'm curious to see where it goes. I'm not real. I don't hate it. I don't like. It's not the one I run to every week. If that's to be fair, like right now, I'm still like it's on. I watch it. I'm not like wanting to turn it off, but I prioritize Wire and Breaking Bad for like my primetime viewing, and Oz is one I have to fit into before the week. But that's where I'm at.
I feel like before I was pretty close to being out, and I don't think I'm there anymore. I will say that about Oz.
True. But I did stop Oz last time I watched it at 4. And it wasn't like I don't think it was real like it was around this point. It's not because I was bored with it. I think I moved on to something else. But I'm curious to see like when we move past it. And curious a 16 episode season, like that's lengthy. And even if it feels like 2 seasons, that's fine, but regardless, we're going to rank it as a season. So if it feels 2 different seasons, it's going to get a weird grade because that's hard to. You got to sell me because I think Oz has done really weird. Like normally, it's the first 3 or the first 2 are must see. The middle is like a building, and then it tries to ramp it at the end. So if it does this seemed like a ramp, like a build. Now I'm expecting the next 3. What are we on? So normally we do 2.
Yeah, because technically we're going to be doing. Mark, correct me if I'm wrong. We're doing 7, 8, 9 this coming week, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it works out
We're
better.
pretty much going to get like out of this kind of first half of the season and into the start of the next season.
Yeah.
So it could feel completely a tonal switch on this one. So I'm curious to see
next week's going to be interesting, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's what we should do because it doesn't make sense to try to treat it like 2 different seasons.
No.
It's one, so.
If it's better with the schedule, we just power through to 9.
Yeah. I'm cool with it. No, I want to because I think that would be a better comparison. If we gave it the benefit of the doubt to cap it at 8 and then start 9, 10, 11, I think we're giving it a benefit of the doubt.
Hey,
they just effed up and
they were
call
all
it season
4. They said it was all season 4, so that's on them. So
yeah, they should have called it season 5 and moved on, but that's their call, so we'll see. All right, that was The Wire. That was Oz. Now onto The Wire. Passing it to the master of the police procedural, Mark Menchaca. Go for it.
Alrighty, we're talking about episodes 4, 5, 6 The Wire Day. We start with episode 4, called Amsterdam. Get into our cold open. We get into like it's kind of neighborhood watch, like police meeting. Got the cop going up, telling the community, "Hey, I know you guys are seeing some rough stuff out in the streets, but we're making progress. Just look at our chart." And some old lady is like, "That chart's total bullshit. We've had to. My kids are asleep on the ground. We hear these pop shots." And Bunny is like, "You know what, lady, you're right. Things are bad. I don't think I can tell you it's going to get any better." And then he just kind of pieces out of the meeting. Like it's just like, "Whoa, what was that?"
Yeah.
I also thought was funny is like whenever he was talking, like there's some dude in the meeting. He's like, yeah, like my cousin, like Willie Gant, like he testified, and like now he's deader than Tupac today. Like didn't really realize we got like a season 1 reference in the middle of that. Like fifth time watching the show, I'd never noticed that. Like again, the beginning of the episode, Bubbles back to snitching. He's there with Kima and Jimmy. He's trying to get the info on kind of what's going on, like in these West Side drug corners. Like they're going around. Then we got Bunk still looking for the gun, trying to convince a bunch of corner boys, like, "Hey, find me this gun. I make any charge disappear," and then nobody gives a shit. And even Herc and Carver, like, "Yeah, this ain't gonna work, dude. Like, what are you doing?"
You can shake that get out of jail free card as much as you want. They do not care.
We got and then nobody can find Marlowe, but Bubbles just hangs around. He sees Marlowe, gets a truck tag, and you know what? We're off to the races on there. Head back over to Wire HQ, and McNulty and Freeman are a human. They get into a little scuffle. Freeman thinks McNulty's a piece of shit, which, well, he's right. I mean, like, not a ton of argument there, Although, get into a solid argument, like McNulty brings up all those Barksdale properties. Of course, once McNulty leaves, tells old Presbeluski, check on those fucking properties. Then, that's not important. You can skip that. About Bunny trying to find a job after policing. Then, I gotta say, I think in this episode we also hit probably just this is why, like, we should teach kids like not to, be in the corners, sell drugs. Because then we get grown ass men who can't start a fucking push mower. I mean, I'm sorry, if you're a grown adult and cannot start a goddamn push mower, what life have you led? Watching Cuddy struggle, like not knowing he has to prime the stupid thing to start the push mower,
I was watching it, and I go, you got to push the intake. You got to prime it. Like, push it 3 times on the side. This man's just ripping it. I was like, and the guy just sits there and watches him in the heat for like 20 tries and be like, hey, by the way, you got to push it in. Like, bro, could you just yell that from where you were? Like, what? He said, I've never ran
been in jail for like
before.
15 years. He's not up on these high-tech lawnmowers.
True.
I mean, leads into probably one of the better conversations in the episode, though. Like, he figures out that his foreman, ex-con, says, kind of giving a little bit of insight. You're gonna go into a thankless life at this point, because you can go back to the game's gonna be easy, but your rest of your life is just here. Nobody's gonna thank you for it. Just gonna be like this every single day. Be working lawns, and nobody's gonna care. Then after that, lead into even though it had a kind of a plot point of Rhonda getting wind that Barksdale's parole is coming up, we also just get a weird sexual tension scene with her and Daniels. They just want to sex each other up like this whole time.
I just want this on the record. Barksdale is getting out of jail before Tobias Beecher in Oz. I just want that. Wait a minute. What? I was
Barksdale had a better lawyer.
I was like, this motherfucker definitely wouldn't have made it in Oz. This man'd still be there to this day. People get out of this jail the first season, and this is season 3, and this man is getting out at the beginning of season 3.
I think he's there for like less than a year.
He's getting out like 2 years and change. I think he's at like month 25.
Okay.
So,
but he was in there for 7, right?
Yeah.
Supposed to be there for 7. That is correct.
Well, all he had to do was frame a guard to get a good deal.
Frame a guard, and exception, be completely nice, and tell you who did the drugs like crazy.
And also lightly throw in, hey, if you like, there could be more of these tomorrow if you don't grant me my parole. And, go in later. We got going back over to homicide just because See that Jay still on top of bunk, finding Dozerman's gun, like all the higher ups getting on him. Kima shows up because it's checking up on Marlowe. Guess who's got bodies on him? Marlowe actually got out of a homicide beef, seeing that he didn't just got his corners through some violence. Something about Jimmy arguing with his wife about alimony because he's stupid enough to sign the separation agreement. Another thing of some dumb Jimmy does. Oh, and finally, we're enacting our plan over on the west side. West side cops are trying to move over those corner boys down to Vincent Street, start up hitting up their free zones. But what do you know? Like, these corner boys are not cooperative. They don't listen to the cops. Who'd have thunk it?
Crazy.
Then Jimmy, still working on investigating Stringer, able to find a phone number by telling a weird story from some girl at the front desk of his community college, making her believe that he's some type of a woman beater. I mean, he is creative. Then Tommy, going over to Tommy, he's hanging out with a bunch of his buddies at a bar, tells him, you know what, I'm going to run for mayor. They're like, hey, you're white, right? He's like, yeah, but I can do it. And sure, why not? See, his old school buddy, that Teresa D'Agostino, who going to see throughout the series, tells her, hey, why don't you run my campaign? And she's like, seriously, guy, you're white. This is Baltimore. You can't run for mayor in Baltimore. Why don't you just go sleep this off, and you'll think about it different in the morning. Then Cuddy, he doesn't want to, start his damn push mowers this whole time. So he gets back with Slim, and he heads back into the game, going back to the Barksdale crew. So going in there, see as Jimmy's still following up String, we see him talking with Senator Clay Davis and property developers, seeing String kind of act straight. Maybe, I don't know, like what is that? Stringer still a drug dealer? I don't know. We'll get to that point. We know he is. And then Bunny probably does maybe the dumbest thing anybody's ever done in the show by bringing in all the corner boys into a gymnasium and trying to get them to see the light and bring them over to Vincent Street. And what do you know? They just start a bunch of fights and they're complaining about not going to the bathroom. But they are scared of the old teacher, like, who yells and like, oh shit, like she's gonna call our mom. Like,
yeah,
shut up.
It just proved he should have never been a teacher. He couldn't. This man's got a bad gun taser, and they're just like, "F you." Okay.
Well, at least it wasn't Prez. He probably would have shot one of the kids.
Well, moving on, got McNulty bringing in what he thinks he's got the case. Bringing, hey guys, I got this cell phone. And he's also meeting the property developers. And Freeman is like, property developers, you say? Of course he's meeting up with those property developers. He mentions of what he's doing with those properties. Of course, he's got that phone. It's a good phone number. No drug talk going off of that. Kima figures out that the corner boys are doing their phone network off of these burners. Which, man, if we thought the payphones dated this show, these burner cell phones,
bro.
And then yeah. So.
I was gonna say it's amazing watching the technology. We go from payphones to the police learning about text messaging, and now we got the burners. So it's fun.
At the end of that, Freeman tells Jimmy, "You know what? Give you one more week. There is something dirty with Stringer still, but if you can't bring in a case one more week, got to rejoin the unit and go after this Cantel Williamson guy." Then a little thing, a String, like a Donette, D'Angelo's ex, trying to catch String the whole episode. He finally patched things up with her. Something about that. Don't need to bring. Oh, Jimmy has a late night with Bunk. They go out drinking. Jimmy starts to feel all frisky. He said, "You know what? I like my old friend Rhonda. Go pay my old friend Rhonda Perlman a visit." Goes up to the door, yells out her name, like, "Oh, I guess she's not home." Looks behind him, recognizes a car, realizes, "Oh, I've seen that car around." Like, "Oh, I think that's Daniels' car." Leaves. a shirtless Daniel sees McNulty leaving. And then later they have maybe one of the most awkward bar conversations anyone has ever had. But
they come to a nice gentleman's agreement.
Yeah,
they do. Like, you know what? It's okay. I guess I won't have sex with Rhonda anymore. You can have sex with Rhonda.
That's okay. I can easily have sex with any other woman in Baltimore.
Just go to a diner, be drunk, and the woman will just throw herself at you.
Then, finishing up, Cuddy coming back. His first job with the Barksdale crew is going to be checking in on one of their dealers who they suspect is stealing from them. They're going to start tailing that guy. Cuddy thinks he's probably got a girlfriend he's showing out a bunch of cash to. Figure out more on that going forward. And then later that night, they end up going to the druggiest drug party like anyone has ever seen. I mean, you thought Peter Baelish's whorehouse was the place to be. I mean, the drugs, people having sex in the stairway, and then they do like the most college thing ever. Like, hey, let's just have a couple 40s in the bathroom and chill out here. Just wild shit.
And we'll have these couple ladies show Cuddy a good time.
And they go on to do some nightly things, and Slim is like, yeah, he's back home. At the end of the episode. This is pretty solid. I think it's kind of one of those where I think, the show is ramping up kind of nicely, although things do feel like they're happening. And it also does a good job just kind of sprinkling like these little moments that like are nice. Like the Freeman McNulty fight is just a great moment, as well as, Bunny just bringing in all the corner boys and try to talk to him. He should know better than say the word learn in front of him. What do you guys think?
Yeah, this rehoming assignment I think is one of the funniest things I've ever seen in like any show ever. It's like, hey, I know where you guys are at right now. Can we just put you down here and you like break laws down here so everybody get off my ass over here? Even though isn't that like the same location? Well, maybe it's not the same location, but wasn't there a murder this season at the same location, like in this place that they're trying to put them, like on the street? Like the guy walked up behind him and shot him. I think that's where it happens. Like I may be wrong. It may look the same, but it may not be the same. But it's like, sure, you're just passing the buck to someone else's like unit or your place, which I think is funny. Like, yeah, we'll put something at a different spot. You'll just come and go as you please. Like, you just be here. So funny. Daniel's dicking down Rhonda is just laying McNulty finding out that the way by being horny and just liquored up, and like he can't even be mad. Like she asked him numerous times and he's like, you're my fun, like my drunk girlfriend, basically. I still think it's hilarious that Barksdale's getting into jail. I think that's just great for the show, but overall just really funny. And that officer gets owned by Rawls. He gets owned by who's the other cop? I keep forgetting his name. It starts with a B. Burrell, and he gets owned by a bunch of teenage kids or like junior high kids. Like this guy cannot catch a break with anybody. No one listens to him. Everybody thinks he's useless, basically. And what's his plan? I'm just going to push all my problems down a street and see if I can just get until my time is up and I can cash out. Like he's just ready for retirement. It's wild, but I think it's ramping fine. I think this episode was a little slow, if you want my honest opinion on it, but I think the thing is, especially like with Breaking Bad and stuff, when you have 13 episodes and they're hour long, it's like, think about like TV at 24 episodes. Like there's gotta be some, I don't watch a ton of 24 episode seasons of shows, but looking back on them, like how much you have to like spare where you ramp and where you like let off the gas. So like you're going to get lulls, like, and I think this was closest to a lull I can see. Because there was not real action, which it doesn't always have to be. I think the next two episodes, you can definitely, if this is like the starting gate, the next ones are like right down the stretch. Like they're heating up perfectly. So, yeah, I think it was a good episode.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good episode. It's definitely kind of a building episode. They're starting to build up the Amsterdam situation. And I mean, poor Bunny. I mean, he's trying to make it easy for these guys, and no one trusts it. Which I mean, I probably wouldn't trust it first if the police tell me like, go over here, sell drugs. We won't arrest you. But I mean, hey, it's going to take some selling, but it's an interesting idea. So that's going to play out. I really think that these 3 episodes here is a really good character arc for Cuddy. It pretty much shows kind of him kind of going through the ups and downs of this, and this one here pretty much ends with him being back in the family again. So I thought that was really good for his character growth there, and yeah, some really good character moments and stuff like that. McNulty, of course, he's a dick. Especially when the case isn't working the way he wants it to work. He's gonna be a dick, and he's not gonna do it the way that needs to be done. So, but hey, but yeah, good stuff.
Alrighty then. And brings us to episode number 5, titled "Straight and True." Get into our cold open. See Bubbles and Johnny walking down the road. Johnny disagreeing with Bubbles' snitching lifestyle, but they come across a guy on the ladder. Thought, hey, we can just get some money out of this guy on the ladder. Just pretend to knock him over, and like it's like, all right, I guess we'll do it. And then Bubbles pretends to be the drug guy to shake down the ladder. Johnny runs out to save the ladder guy, but then once Johnny goes around the corner, which, by the way, they went down the same alleyway. Like, how does this guy not realize he just got taken for just $20? Like,
He's just
Johnny's
relieved.
queued up to go down like a different alleyway.
The meth heads are not masterminds of the crime.
Yeah, so although
These meth
Johnny
heads survive in 2024. They just wouldn't. They couldn't. They'd have to accept Venmo or something. These guys, $20 ain't going anywhere for them. Like, they're just robbing people left and right.
Anyway, Johnny goes back around the corner. Bubbles is gone. So Bubbles, I guess, has ended his partnership with Johnny. Get the main credits. We go into McNulty continuing his investigation on Stringer, tailing him around everywhere, seeing what he does. He's going around the college, meeting up with his guys around his buildings, looking at him with his binoculars. Bunny is wanting some updates on how, moving these guys to the vacants on Vincent Street's going. And they're like, I don't know what to tell you, boss. Like, they just won't do it. Of course, Bunny's pissed. Goes to Carver for advice, and what do you know? Underlying theme of this season: Carver sucks at his job. Has no better solution of how to deal with these drug people.
Doesn't have any information on any of them or anything. It's crazy.
And yeah, I mean, no, it's still doing string. We got Tommy reads, old Carcetti reads about state's witness death. Says to his buddy Tony, you know what? This is bullshit. Can't have witnesses dying. It looks bad on our city. Can't be political. He decides, you know what? I'm gonna go do something about it. Gonna go tell the mayor that, you know what? We gotta do something about it. I'm not gonna, use this for political leverage. And Cuddy and his guy is still following that dealer, trying to figure out where their money's going, where he's stealing it from. Although he's got a meeting. He promised that lady he got put on his suit for. So, you know what? I'm going to meet with your deacon buddy, see what he's going to do. Deacon's like, hey, I can help you get a GED, help you get a job. And Cuddy's like, I ain't got time for any of that bullshit. I'm just trying to, to get going. I thought, Grace was going to be here. What the hell is all this all about? So he takes off. He's pissed. Bunk still getting bothered with Jay about finding that gun. Jay's hearing it from everywhere, which I think I don't remember if it's this episode or the episode before, but I really like how, like, in certain parts, we'll be at a Comstat meeting. Rawls asks that major about the gun, and he's frazzled about it, and we don't see that major asking Jay about the gun and probably eating into him about the gun, but we see Jay yelling at Bunk about the gun. Like we just see like the eternal downhill slide of like everybody wondering where this gun is. Now, although McNulty finally gets pissed, has his confrontation with Stringer at his copy store. Can't believe that he's got to drop this case. Tells Stringer had such high hopes for us, thinking can't do anything about it. He has to finally go over to Lester, admit, yeah, I don't have a case on it. He tried to sell me a condo. There's nothing we can do here. Or they say he's now become the bank, and now he just kind of bank rolls for these bigger packages. Probably not going to catch String in the room with drugs anymore. So Jimmy re-enters the detail, although Kima still out doing her thing. And still a little bit underlying tension of Omar and his crew. Kimmy, not super happy with Omar's boy about accidentally shooting Tasha. Still a little bit of a grudge there. Got Bunny finally gets another plan. It's like, you know what? I can't convince these corner boys to listen to me, but maybe I can convince these mid-level dealers to listen to me. Maybe they can, understand what I'm trying to throw. Because it's like, you know what? These guys are middle management. Middle management, they got to listen when somebody's talking, but they can't tell anybody to go fuck themselves. So, although he tries to go back to Carver, give him list of names. As you said, Matt, doesn't have his shit for him. Carver, bad at his job once again. Cuddy goes in for his piss test. He's got that clean pee he bought on the street from that guy who gets it from kindergartners. The creepiest guy in the world in a trench coat selling kids pee. I mean, we did not spend enough time with that man. We should have spent a little bit more time. Like maybe a couple of episodes down the line, we'll come back to that. Oh shit! Then go into Stringer, Prop Joe. They're starting up. They call New Day Co-op. They have band together pretty much all the big level dealers in Baltimore, as many as they can, at the very least, and they are going to start pulling in all together so they can get a wholesale price on the new drug package. Which, I mean, I would think this probably happened in cities, in big enough cities. Most people that we just don't shoot each other, and we just pull together on a package. This will just work out really well for us. It's like as Prop Joe said, they put aside their differences and acting all Republican and shit. Then also leads into a pretty funny moment where like Stringer catches this guy taking notes. He's like, "Whoa, we gotta have minutes on this meeting." You fucking taking notes on a criminal fucking conspiracy. Then finally get Cuddy. He caught up with I skipped some shit. Yeah, I did skip some shit. Yeah, Cuddy and his boys caught up with the dealer's girlfriend. Cuddy absolutely gives her a Will Smith slap to the face.
Oh yeah.
That got her attention. They catch up with the dealer that's been stealing from him, and his boys beat the absolute shit out of him.
Oh, yeah.
Not sure if he's dead. I don't like. I mean, they really went to town on him. I feel like we can add him to the kill count. I don't remember ever seeing him again.
Could Cuddy just try to stop him and be like, we still need this guy to work for us, right?
So, a little something
yeah, they
there.
beat the fuck out of him. And then, he needed that ring off his finger really bad. Then they do that number, and then he speaks up and says, "Oh no, we might need this guy." Then he just pulls out like a bat or whatever it is. He didn't actually stop him from doing it. He just pulled out and did more damage to him. It was wild.
A little part I skipped a little bit before. Do find out that good old Bunny does have a connection to Jimmy. Like he was his he was his major back in the day. Bunny's been around the bend. That'll just come into play, honestly, next episode. Then
Bushy top.
old Bushy top. And brought it up. He has parole hearing last episode, and now he is getting out of prison. Avon stepped out. He is now officially free. Boys meet up with him. He throws his clothes out the window. He's happy and ready to resume his life. And Bunny is able to get the information he needs from the wiretap people. He collects all those West Side dealers. Not before, Herc and Carver almost get jumped by Marlowe's crew because Herc is too stupid to read a fucking room, not realize that they are surrounded by a bunch of guys.
Bro, there are 40 of them, and there are 2. And I promise you, Ellis is running the first chance he get. He is not standing with you. He's like looking for his escape route. He's like, these guys are gonna. He's like, yeah, I got a direct order. Actually, maybe another time. You think? Yeah, I think.
And then that's kind of a difference between Marlowe's organization and Avon's organization. If that was the same situation, Avon probably would have talked to the police and everything, but Marlowe don't care. If you're cops, they'll still kill you.
Marlowe is ready to crack some heads. Like, his boys are stashing baseball bats, like guns around. Like, they are ready to go to town. They don't care. There's a couple badges in the vicinity right now. So, Bunny finally talks to all these mid-level guys. They are listening to him. They're making good points, but Bunny's saying, listen, come down here, do your dirt. Nobody's gonna do anything, but I guarantee you stay on the corner. My guys are going to be on your asses like there is no tomorrow. We will arrest you guys every day. We'll do all kinds of shit. I will have my guys back no matter what they do. It's gonna get really bad. So might as well just come down to these vacant houses. Be a lot easier. Kima still on the tailing around going up with Bubbles, trying to get dirt on him. She's been following around Marlowe this whole time. And what do you know? She catches a glimpse of a golden piece of information. She finds Marlowe in a meeting with Stringer, calls up Jimmy saying, hey, got some crazy shit going down. You're not going to believe it. They see Marlowe and Stringer exiting the same house. We're there together. We didn't know that. That's crazy. Now we got something to finally bring to Daniels on maybe reopening the case against Stringer. And finally, few dealers are now somewhat buying into the free zone idea. Some of them are going down there trying to figure it out. Although a couple of them want to leave. They're like, yeah, there's nobody around here. These houses are vacant for a reason. Nobody lives over here. But then, like, the bright idea, why don't we just bring some drug addicts who are on the streets and put them over here? Let's just get them all in wagons. Funny scene, where Johnny trying to buy drugs. We're like, no, give him his money back. We're gonna take you to the promised land here in a bit.
Yeah, the addicts get on board with the program much quicker than the dealers did.
So that's finally up and running. Jimmy heading over to his kids' school's open house, and weird world crossover. He meets Teresa Agostino. Like, she's there, working a fundraiser, and Jimmy, she does what Jimmy does. You say he's a hot lady, gives him some eyes, and what do you know? He's back in it. So they have sex, but she's like, yeah, no, I got work in the morning. You got to get out. Like, you can't stay. So Jimmy discarded, kind of, honestly, kind of what he deserves, and who really likes Jimmy. And go into the end of the episode. We got Avon being thrown a welcome back party, a meeting there of all these guys. Stringer keeps pulling him away from the ladies, not knowing, for whatever reason, can't remember that he's been in jail for 24 months. Like Avon just wants to chill. Although mean, then with their attorney Levy, Clay Davis, and developer trying to figure out how to get Avon the straight and narrow, but of course Avon kind of shortened the conversation. He's not super interested. Definitely something that will be illustrated in later episodes. So Stringer takes Avon away from the party, brings him up to his apartment that's in his name, and they are reminiscing on old times. They're finally free. And then Stringer gives him maybe one of the best housewarming gifts anybody can give anybody, which is two hot ladies. And the episode ends with, I guess, Avon being a real happy camper.
Yep. Yeah, I like the episode a whole lot in this one. I think it does. We're still building it. I like the political aspect of this season a little bit more than the previous two seasons. Like speaking of the show, like I was like, man, you know what show I haven't ever done, but I've heard great things, like The West Wing. But then I looked, it was 155 episodes, long thing. So I was like, we're gonna scrap that. But overall, like it's such an interesting like political dynamic with this group, and like there's so much like. I feel like this season is the most from any other season, has the most like storylines going on.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like an Oz thing where it has like so many and different things, and you get a little bit each episode to carry on. So instead of like one overarching thing. So overall it's good. Yeah, Avon being gone, I still love her and Ellis about to get beat the fucking. They were about to die. Both of them. We're about to add them to the kill count. I don't know how I feel about basically the new guy of the season, the one that can't start the push mower.
Cuddy.
Cuddy. I don't know how I feel about him personally, and like these three, like how he's like he's trying to find his place still back in there, but they don't run the same size with Barksdale's crew. They're like on their own, right? Is that accurate, or are they with them and he's just more careless? They're more careless than that. Like they just are making weird. Like they seem like they're going to be the reason that something goes awry. In my eyes, like how it keeps going, it just doesn't seem like they're. I know next episode they have a moment. So like it feels like they just are. They're more loose cannons in this. So they feel like they're going to be a major like.
Well, a lot of Avon's like A players kind of got locked up. So now he's got kind of the new crop of people are kind of stepping into the roles of his soldiers and stuff. So
it's basically like in every police procedural, like each season, like someone has to fuck around and like cause like the heat to go up. If it wasn't first episode, like young kid like killing Michael B. Jordan, like that situation like kind of sparked it. Dick Kid in second season where he started. This guy seems like he's gonna arc it. So yeah, I don't know. Interesting themes.
Dick Kid. I'm like,
what's his name? Izzy. Ziggy. Yeah. No Greeks so far this season. They never come back. Are we done with that arc? Okay.
Yeah,
season 4, we just alternate.
Yeah, I thought this was a really good episode. I love the confrontation with McNulty and Stringer. Stringer pretty much just rubbing it all onto McNulty's face and everything. I really like the scenes too with Cuddy and Slim Charles. I think that's a really good dynamic that those two have. Is kind of some of the more veteran type guys that are more familiar with some of the stuff compared to a lot of the younger people in the Barksdale organization who don't really know what they're doing so much. And yeah, that's pretty much still building up the Amsterdam. It's getting closer to running at full efficiency though. And Avon's party is a really interesting scene. It's definitely interesting when Stringer's kind of trying to introduce him to all the government people and all the people he's got working on this stuff, and Avon's not interested in any of that stuff. It's pretty much, you see it more in the next episode, but you see it in this episode here. He just wants to, and he's already seeing things about how he's not liking how the organization's running. He's seeing the kids like doing the drugs and stuff at his party and stuff.
The guys you were talking about, he noticed that they were high. Like,
yeah. So he's definitely he's been away for a couple of years, and things aren't how he expected it to be when he gets back. So that's definitely going to play out in the rest of the season. So yeah, good stuff.
I mean, just in general, I kind of want to piggyback off of something you said, Cody. The way Wire tells the story is very similar to how Game of Thrones does, where it does feel like, because there's so many different things going on, but I think kind of like Game of Thrones, I think The Wire is very good at kind of sprinkling story moments in throughout. It kind of keeps you updated with everybody, and I think it also gives everybody just like enough good moments to where like you want to keep coming back to wherever anybody is, like we're in a kind of in a, I guess in that some sense, all the pieces matter. Very
Yeah.
It's
very
either going to
pop.
progress the story or give you like some really nice character moments with those characters in that part. Yeah.
There's some I would like to get rid of, but other than that, like I'm tired of Bubbles. Like Bubbles can go. Like he
Bubbles is
pops
doing
in
the
and out.
best police work out of all these cops.
I believe me. If I listen, if you want my honest answer, I'd get rid of the police force, but that would stop the show. So you know what? I'm gonna just pick and choose where I go because this police force is the most useless police force I've ever seen in my life.
Okay, then well. And then the numbers, episode number 6, last episode of the Wire of the Week, titled "Homecoming," and that bedlam that Bunny was promising is coming to fruition in our cold open. Him and his West Side boys are fucking up those drug dealers any which way they can. You know, they're arresting them, tossing their shoes in the sewers, they're towing their cars, put them in the wagon, like mason them, kind of really fuck. And then my personal favorite, drive them all the way out to the fucking woods and like, hey, still in Maryland technically. Just got to walk that way. You'll end up back in Baltimore. So get in there. Transitions over. We see clean corners on the west side. People, enough of these guys are finally moving their stuff over to Amsterdam, but we see there's just complete hell over in the free zone, just rampant drug buying, people just doing stuff. So that's gonna continue to escalate. And got Stringer and Avon meeting with the property developers, because we got all this money, we got all this property, but you know what? This shit's not getting done. Can't these can't get these permit guys going in. They won't do these alterations because we don't have these right permits, and property guys just feeding them a whole bunch of bullshit. Why they can't keep going. And Avon's all pissed and is like, "Listen, man, like we paid you the money. You got to get this shit done. This is your fault, basically." But they're not hearing any of that, so we're definitely gonna come back to there at some point. Jimmy and Kima bring what they know about Marlowe and Stringer over to Daniels. And Daniels very politely tells them to fuck off. He doesn't have any bodies on him. They're not going to war. Like, I don't care. This unit is about the murders. And Stringer, Marlowe have no murders right now. So, we're going to, stay on this Kentel Williamson guy. So, just take it on back. Bunk finally is trying to get Jay off his ass about the gun, hands him this big report about all the work he's doing on it. And he finally just wants to, do police work the double murder, which is from the Omar shooting from a couple episodes ago. He's going to be doing that. Avon is getting updates from Slim about where they're at with their corners. Slim's telling them that Marlowe's taking up pretty much all their good real estate. And of course, Avon's getting pissed. Doesn't like that they got ran off the corner before. Thinks they look weak. And Avon's looking ready, like he's about to make some really poor decisions. Bunk working his double, trying to talk to Tasha's people, the girl that died earlier from Omar's crew, saying, "Hey, got an inkling that she was a part of robbing some drug dealers. Probably wasn't on the right side of it, but put me in touch with the right people. I can solve this. If not, I'm gonna make sure everybody involved here has a shitty time. Yeah. So keep coming back over to that. Then we got Jimmy, Kima, thinking, hey, maybe we turn D'Angelo's suicide into a murder. And that boss tells him again to get the fuck out of here. We're not turning murders into whatever, especially you guys don't have a suspect. This is stupid. I don't know what you guys are thinking. I mean,
they have a problem with murders and they want to add another murder to the group. Good job.
Yeah. We're not going to go fuck ourselves. All right, guys. Like we're not stupid. All right. we're fine making this look like a suicide. Okay, we're cool. And head into a party with some of those political people and kind of Odell Watkins, guy in the wheelchair, starting to talk shit about Mayor Royce, saying that he's got a lot of negatives showing. He's starting to look vulnerable. In that same party, we see Daniels and I guess now his ex-wife there. They're schmoozing the crowd. Then I would say at least one of my favorite parts of this episode, we have Avon and Stringer finally having to talk about the real state of affairs and kind of where they're going at. Stringer desperately is trying to get him to see the light. Like, listen, we don't need to fight over corners. It doesn't matter. We got the money. Let's just get in. We get in, we buy this wholesale package, we get in with everybody, we make our money, we put this money into clean operations. We did it. Like we don't need to do this anymore. We're past all this. And then Avon gives him just maybe the most perfect answer ever. I'm not a businessman. I'm just a gangster, I suppose. And very, very foreboding where we're going to go from here. Because Avon, he wants his corners. So they are going to now go to war with Marlo over this. Kimmy tells Omar that Kimmy goes over, tells him, which leads into the Oz crossover, as Matt. We were talking about this before the show. Matt telling me we had the ultimate crossover this episode because Omar sitting there with his boy. They're watching Oz, which, by the way, they're in like this dump of a house. Like this is a vacant house. Like Omar's not paying rent here, but he's got premium cable like in this place. Like it just bothers me so much that
they're just moving that cable and just hooking it up.
Yeah, that's the old days. That's when they stole cable. When you could steal cable, because it's like the people that live in shitty apartments but drive like a Bentley outside. It's just like, hey, you see my wheels? My house might suck, but I got a nice ride. That makes sense.
We got to see our Keacher.
We need to see if we can get Omar on the show. See if we can get Omar to discuss his favorite Oz episode with us.
Yeah, I mean he can fill in for Michael 1 week.
Yeah.
I mean, I know he has some extension cord. We're not seeing Omar's name on no utility bill. I always thought it was stupid. It was silly.
He ain't paying
anyway.
No deposits.
Yeah, but now Kimmy tells Omar, like they talk to Tasha's people and they're wanting to know. Omar tells him, yeah, I know Bunk. I can figure this out. Like, don't worry. Bunny though notices that all these houses are not all vacant, and there is some old woman still living in this neighborhood. And he's like, he goes to this woman's like, hey, get you moved out of here. People are in bad circumstances. She freaks out and like, this is my home, and you got all these drug dealers out here. You're not doing anything about it. No, so.
I think this is the episode too where it kind of shows his other areas that are actually kind of flourishing now, where like the neighborhood is kind of people are out hanging up their clothes and stuff. So it seems like it is starting to work. It's just you do have some collateral damage over in this other area.
Wish I remember this. I mean, as he said, we got to deal with we should be doing better if we're dealing with less.
Mm-hmm.
I think somewhere around the same quote he was working on.
Good line.
But no, Avon putting on his guys, trying to hit on Marlo's corners. Puts Cuddy and Slim on it. that crew. You know, they're putting together a plan to go hit him up. And definitely a lot of eager beavers on there. You know, wanting to get their shots in. You know, I'm sure nothing will go wrong in there. City developer tells Stringer, "Hey, you got to bribe these guys. Things aren't moving. You just got to send in some money to grease the wheels. Get in with Clay Davis. He'll put you with the right people." Bunny's able to put in the proper paperwork to get that lady moved, so he doesn't have to worry about her. And then what do you know? Head over to the hit attempt, and the driver just, even though he's a driver, he doesn't have a gun. He's just got a real itchy trigger finger. He's like, no, man, like, we don't go now. We're not going to get any action. And he does exactly what Slim tells him not to do. Like, hey, you don't want to send your driver, in the line of fire. Because, what if your driver gets shot? Like, pretty much every single thing, like, he told them not to do, they did it in that 30-second thing.
All they had to do was wait for Cuddy's phone call, and they would have worked out really good.
I'll tell you, some of these people in The Wire are the best shots I've ever seen in my life. There's more headshots in this than any other thing I've seen. Like he's able to get blasted right in the face from like a side angle too. Like he's off center wedge trying. He hits a moving target at like 35 miles an hour. I don't know the physics. That's impressive. If you can put me in front of a target with a gun, I bet I aim high. Like this dude gets it. That guy, what in the previous three, the guy shoots one of Omar friendly fire, turns the gun and pops her right in the forehead. Like, wow. Ziggy points that gun down and shoots him right in the cheek. Like he didn't miss one time. These guys are lethal.
So yeah, that hit goes very poorly. I don't think even any of Avon's guys get a shot off. Two of Avon's guys go down, so they're out on that. Later we go to a racquetball game with Tony Gray and Tommy Carcetti, and Tony hints very heavily that he's considering running for mayor, which gets Tommy's ears perked up. He knows that, hey, I get another black guy to run for mayor here. It's going to probably split the black vote, and I got an opening here. Like he's happy to hear that. Got Marlowe hearing about what just happened on the hit in his corner. He's ready to go to war. I mean, we saw him. We talked about it already. He's ready to beat Herc and Carver up with a bunch of baseball bats. Like he's ready to bang out with Avon if he has to. Got Bunny goes to Carver for possible information on the shooting on Marlowe, and he's asking Carver like, "Hey, what gangs do you think he's doing this?" Like, I don't know, like fucking gangs, like
We just beat him up.
I think 3 straight episodes of Carver being shitty at his job. I mean,
well, he thinks he's good at his job. He thinks his job is just to beat people up and haul them in. That's all he thinks his job is.
I mean, Daniels told him season 1. And like, that's in 1 year and out the other. This guy. No, kind of funny scene. Tommy, see a bit of home life with Tommy. He wants to see like a tape of him kind of in his council meeting. Finds a sandwich in his VCR, almost yells at his tiny kid, although able to stop himself, and able to see the light in the family. I just thought that was just kind of a funny scene. Donette, I cannot remember Avon's sister name, but she meets up with Avon's sister, and she kind of hints that she tells her that a cop that came by told that D'Angelo's death may not have been a suicide. So now Avon's sister has now gotten wind of that, and she will now take that information and do what she will.
Yeah, she told her Cody's been asking around about the so-called suicide.
About time.
People don't hang themselves just by sitting down. I mean, it makes no sense.
Thank you.
Then, Cedric tells Rhonda that he's got to be there for his wife. Rhonda's not too happy about him being a happy husband. He says, "No, I owe her. She stuck with me too much of my bullshit." Go back over to Avon. After the bad hit attempt, Avon's pissed. They lost 2 of their guys. They don't know what they're going to do. But Slim tells them, him and Cuddy gonna go out on their own, hit up one of their corners, should be better. And then Kima and Jimmy get a line out that, hey, corners are hot now. Marlowe and Barksdale people are beefing. They're dropping bodies now. Like this is the case now. It's exactly what he wanted, right, Lieutenant? And Daniel's like, yeah, fuck off. My rank is Lieutenant. I run this goddamn unit. You don't. If you keep coming at me with this bullshit, you're gonna find yourself like back on the streets or whatever the fuck. I don't care. Like this, we're not doing this going over my head bullshit. It's over. Bunk and then also great moment in this episode. Bunk and Omar meet up. Omar's telling him, I don't know what you're looking for, man. Like we're just doing whatever. And then Bunk just has a great monologue of telling about how he came up, how he was seen as kind of the the schoolboy going in there. Although he says, now we got guys acting tough. We don't have a community anymore. We just got kids glorifying you, Omar. You predatory motherfucker. Just a great line. Calls him a predatory motherfucker. I love that line. Really awesome Bunk moment here.
Did we talk about? I may have missed it, but did we talk about the guy when Bunk was like interviewing the guy on the street looking for Omar?
No,
and
no.
Did I skip ahead? Sorry, but
no. No, we passed that.
I definitely skipped that because
he's like, do you know Omar? Yeah, I know. He's like, I'm looking for a guy with a scar across his face. He's like, yeah, you know Omar? I know Omar. You know Omar's got a giant scar across his face. And then the one guy goes, I'm sorry. Are you looking for the gun with this guy? Does he know some information that I don't know? Like, it's like one of the funniest parts I thought of this episode.
That's right, because I did skip over that too, because it does lead into a funny moment where he goes to the jail and he talks to all those guys that have information on the gun.
Oh yeah,
like, and they just got a bunch of nothing.
Does it have to be that gun? I can get you a gun.
Yeah, I wrote down. It kind of pissed me off. Whatever. Anyway, String goes to Clay Davis about bribing these guys, trying to get his work on his construction buildings going. See how that goes. So going to hit on that. Now Slim and Cuddy out on Fruit's corner. Fruit, who previously screwed over Cuddy on that package he brought in that first episode. Slim is like, hey, let's just go hit that guy since he still owes you some money. They roll up on him. They kill the kid who has asthma. And then Cuddy has Fruit right in his sights. Can't pull the trigger. Sitting there. Lets him run off. Just can't do it. Leads into Tommy. Goes back to Teresa. He says, you know what? I'm serious. Want to run for mayor. Think we're good. Think we're good to go. Odell Watkins saying a lot of his negatives are weak. He could probably turn on him. Tony Gray's going to run. I got Burrell in my corner. I think I can do this. Just got to, make some money. I can make a run for mayor. So Aidan Gillen still playing the schemer. He is definitely on a runaway track to try to head up this city. And then I honestly don't remember this part because I know Jimmy is the one who ultimately does the backdooring, and he's the one who takes the case over to Bunny to get the wire crew to now start looking in on Marlowe. Like I knew that happened. I do not remember Kima putting that idea in his head. Like it's honestly a thing that does kind of, helps that a little bit, just in the sense that, okay, McNulty was maybe about ready to put this down, but Kima has like now done a full McNulty move. He's like, hey, maybe you just take this to your old major, you could probably, get this case going.
Yeah, she's definitely turning into a little bit of McNulty this season.
which then brings into Daniel's walking into a meeting, not knowing what's going on, and now he's realizing he's been hoodwinked. Before that,
again,
wanted to end off on this one because when Cuddy and Slim talking about their hit attempt, they said they hit a guy. Slim trying to cover for Cuddy, thinking, you know what, I rolled him too soon. Cuddy could have had this guy. Cuddy comes clean. Says no, had him right in my sights. Couldn't pull the trigger. Game's not in me anymore. I can't do this. I can't be on the streets anymore. This life is ain't for me anymore. And then Avon is real decent about it. He lets him walk out the door, which, you know what, makes sense. This guy rated 13 years for you. He's probably, not going to go to the cops on you. He could have probably done that in the 13 years he was in prison for, which ends off this episode. I didn't want to say this before. Like, Matt is absolutely right. I really am glad how these 3 episodes worked out, especially for Cuddy. Cuddy has a really great mini arc in here of him going back into Barksdale's crew, kind of feeling like this is where he belongs. But then, like, when he actually has to start doing some things and trying to get back in life, realizing this is not him, and like he's got to get out and just do something different. I think I think honestly, Cuddy is maybe one of the cooler characters, at least in this season, just because he is just a great look at kind of who we have like in this world, especially how after a long period of time, how it changes a person. Especially like them coming back later on. Yeah, I like this episode a lot. It's got a lot of great moments, especially with McNulty coming backdoor and everybody. We had that great bunk moment in the middle there. Just it's a great episode. What do you guys think?
I've been friends in this community with Mark for a couple years now. That's the most I've ever heard Mark talk in general. That's how much he loves The Wire. And these are 3 episodes that I would say are not even ramped episodes. Like, this is like, we're going to have to put him on a leash on like season finales. This man might run. This episode's going to get long. I just want you to know that right now. If you're watching this an hour 50 minutes in, this is the longest we ever talked about The Wire, which is a disservice to The Wire because I have not been as skilled. And I appreciate Matt and Mark for taking the two things to share the load. So we're just going to be long tonight. It is what it is. No, I like this episode a lot. I think the bunk arc is absolutely accurate. I think it's. I'm still unsure. It's kind of interesting. Anytime I introduce a character and they try to make that character like a focal point that I don't know, it's like. I have trust issues, I guess. I don't know if I like you because I haven't seen you before, so we'll see how this goes. I think the arc was overall good. I kind of like the season that we're spending a little bit more time with the criminals, I would say, than The Wire itself. Like they're there and they're featured, but honestly, it's a lot of like internal like fighting gang like affiliation selling like figuring out that stuff, so it's kind of interesting where that arc goes. I'm glad we're not like in a themed this season, so like we're not on the dock, we're not like in the towers, like we're not in like a church or a school or something like that, so like I thought this was going to go a lot of different places, so like that we're just back in Baltimore just doing the Baltimore thing. It's nice. I like that. But yeah, I'm excited to see where this season goes because I don't have like past seasons. I've kind of felt like where I saw this going. I don't fully have a grasp of where this one ends. So that's exciting because normally they're pretty obvious. Like I knew Frank was going down by the end of like in the middle of the season. Like that guy ain't lasting, or he's going to jail, or they're all going. The Greeks are going into, or the first one. Avon, everybody's going down. This one, kind of up in the air. Like maybe the terrible cop goes down. Like maybe he gets arrested because he's just terrible at his job. He's the only one that's really catching like a clear storyline of death. And I guess the political leaders. It's a really interesting stuff. Yeah, I like these episodes a lot. I'm excited to see where we build off of it.
Yeah, I thought this was a really solid episode. There's a lot of good the building and expanding some stories. I really loved the kind of the Avon and Stringer of it all, kind of trying to take the organization in two different paths. I really like Stringer in this episode too, because it kind of shows normally when he's dealing with like the drugs and stuff, a lot of times he probably thinks he's probably the smartest person in the room, and he's able to kind of control and talk to all these people. But now when he's dealing with like these politicians and the lawyers and the construction builders and all this stuff, it's kind of out of his element. So it's just like in the scene here where they meet at the construction site. Avon pretty much can tell right away that this construction guy is playing you for a fool. but Stringer's kind of just like going along with it because, I mean, he's kind of unsure of himself in this situation. So I thought that's kind of a really good dynamic. And like you said, the scene with Bunk and Omar was really good. I mean, that's probably like the first time kind of someone's kind of like really talked to Omar like that. And Omar kind of like takes the pause and kind of sits back for a second. So I thought that was a really good scene. But yeah, great episode. I think it's really, we're starting to ramp up. We're getting towards, I think it's like the last 6 or 7 episodes, 6 episodes of the season. So we're setting all the end game pieces. And we still got some more characters going to be coming around in the next few episodes too. We're going to get to see a little bit more of Marlowe's crew as we get more into the Avon Marlowe war as that builds up. So yeah, some good stuff's coming.
Okay. Well, if you think I'm going to be short, you're not going to get any luck on that one.
If people can watch a 5-hour Your List Sucks, they can watch a 3-hour TV Chronicles.
Yeah, they sure can. Thank you, buddy. Luckily, we started early tonight. We may need to readjust times as these seasons are apparently getting better. And again, like I said, that was Mark's first like summary thing, so it may not all be an hour and 10 minutes, but maybe they will. I enjoyed it. It was way more information than I ever put out, so I appreciate that. So the first episode 11. Abiquiu, place in New Mexico, basically is what it meant. I had to look it up because I was unsure what it meant. So episode starts with a flashback, good old cold open. Jane and Jesse are at the Vagina Art Museum. How many pictures of a door do you need to pick? Like, basically, just I thought that was funny. How that all started. Then we get Hank. Hank is learning how to walk, and when I say learning how to walk, gives up very fast. Puts it on there. And I always love that Walt Jr. is there too. He's walking on crutches and stuff and barely can walk, and he's just like shaming him. You can do it, Hank. And Hank's like, "Shut up, kid. Put me in the chair. I'm done." Marie and Skylar talk about the first bill. Basically, they're going to start coming weekly. Then we go back to the lab. Walt and Jesse are in the lab making blue, and Walt pushes him off the weighing of it, and like looks back at like the camera. Basically, he has been skimming off the top of the blue to sell it on himself. Walt has known it because the orders are lower, and you're messing with a criminal mastermind that doesn't want short stuff. So he puts it back to the bad guy, real bad guy. Jesse is at a people trying to quick quit the addiction, and what is his scheme? We're gonna just sell at this place. So it's pretty effed up. He meets a girl. He ends up like discussing, talking to her, chatting her up basically, and then family dinner basically at the Walt's house, talking about like how he got the money, like showing him the money. Well, where'd this come from? It's a loan out. Like, what do you mean we owe this? Like, don't stress. Skylar brings up the valid point that if we're going to money launder, we're going to have to be better about this since I'm going to be involved in it. So she wants to meet with Saul Goodman. And Saul has a great plan of laser tag. Walt's like, whatever. But Skylar goes, no, that makes no sense for Walt whatsoever. Saul's ego gets challenged. Like, what do you know, man? Like, I've been doing this a long time. Like, overall, like, I'll. So I think that was really funny.
Which this might be one of Saul's kind of first missteps, because I mean, he hooks up Jesse with a nail salon, which Jesse should have been the one to get the laser tag. I think that would have been a match made in heaven.
100% doesn't make sense. So she pushes back. We then go to Jesse and the new girl. I can't remember her name offhand.
Andrea.
Andrea. They're making out on the couch, basically talking about other drugs. Mom comes home with a kid, so there's a kid involved. That's the situation. Skylar and them leave the Skylar and them leave Saul's place. They end up driving, and he pulls off one of the coolest shots. Two of them that's all looking at their faces while looking up, and they turn. It's the car wash. This makes sense. Like, this is what you should buy. You worked here for this many years. This is what you should buy. They get out of it. Jesse plays father, basically, goes to dinner with Andrea and her kid. They're eating Walt shows Saul the car wash and says, "This is the better thing." He basically describes it as, it's fine, but we don't have a guy in the inside to run the thing. Like, you need somebody to launder money. You can't just have a business and no one, or unless you're working there all day. Jesse and Andrea wake up or whatever after fooling around or doing what they're doing. She wants to light up some blue. He takes obsession up to it and goes, "You have a kid. Like, are you a bad mom?" Like, she flies off the handle, gets mad. Describes a moment of what happened with the kid. That's the group that killed Combo. The kid that killed the Combo, the two guys. There's a connection there that we learn in this thing, that they're running the drugs through, like, that situation. Marie and Hank have that talk in the car that he can go home now. He's adamant that he will not leave. Marie's like adamant because, like, the bills are only going to pile up if you're here, like, and like that guilt is weighing on her, but also like figuring out like, what do we do? Like, if you're, and he's like, the end of discussion. I'm not going home until I can walk. I'm not leaving. Walt and Skylar sit down and have the conversation about Danny at the laser tag place. There's no Danny. Skylar says, "What about me to run it? Like, right? Like, like, let me run it." And he's like, "No, I'm not letting you run it currently. Like, we're ex-wife. Like, you're not. That would just look weird thing." And revealed she never signed the papers. They're not currently. And he's like, "We're not together, right?" And she's like, she says nothing. He's like, "Right." I never got around to signing them. So that, and then
spouses can't testify against one another.
one of the most interesting moments of the season, they're cooking. He gets a call. Walt has been invited over to Gus Fring's house to have dinner. It's just one of the, like, it's so just like unsettling, like a perfect, like, unsettling scene for it, because you sit there and you, like, Gus has no facial expressions, and he sits there and he can act the nicest and whatever, but he's like sitting there just, he needs to know, like, why am I here? So that's always that thing. And then the episode ends, Jesse goes to the exact block that Combo got shot on. Kid, he buys Crystal. Kid does the thing for him, does all the switches, and that sends Jesse over the edge, basically. And that's how the episode ends of the first one. I think it's great. I think it sets up exactly what we need to see. We get a sign of Gus that you're just not used to seeing, which is super fascinating for me. Where he plays that Jacqueline Hyde so well. And in these next two episodes, you see the full Hyde of the situation come out in him, which is fascinating. And then kind of the perfect plan. Like, we're getting this money, we're finding this stuff, but how do we make this efficient for you to keep it after I'm gone? So that's kind of an interesting strategy to it. And then Jesse gets a moral compass, like, hey, I'm going to sell Crystal to these people that are trying to quit it, and I'm going to sell it, but now you have a kid, so I can't sell it to you anymore, and now I need to avenge Combo's death. So it's kind of interesting where that goes. But your thoughts, Matt?
Yeah, man, I thought it was really good. It does a really good build up for the pretty much the season finale, part 1 and 2, pretty much. Does a really good job. I like the stuff. Andrea seems like she's good for Jesse, but Jesse is still in his bad guy phase, and I thought it was really interesting. Pretty much her telling the story about how they used her brother to kill the guy, and he puts 2 and 2 together that it was Combo, and that kind of sets Jesse up on the path for what he's going to be doing for the rest of the season. And like you said, of course, the amazing scene with Gus and Walt over dinner there, pretty much sizing each other up. Walt's trying to figure out what he's thinking, and you can't figure out what Gus is thinking. Gus knows what you're thinking, but you can't figure out what he's thinking. So really good stuff.
Yeah. Think Mark is away currently, so we will maybe get his thought process when he comes back on that. So now we're going to go to half measures. It starts with a very cool cold open of the what's her name?
Oh, Hooker.
Hooker.
Day in the life of
basically,
Hooker.
yeah, basically her day to day of what a day in the life of her looks. I always want to say Debbie, but I don't think that's right. She basically buys Crystal, snooks Crystal, and then gives blowjobs. Is what it seems like. That's what her day to day looks like. And gets in fights.
Wendy.
Wendy,
Yeah.
you're right. Better, more respectful than Hooker. Jesse, we see Jesse, and he's looking over like his like thought process of the like watching the street, basically, and like contemplating what he's doing. Jess, Skylar, and Walt have the meeting outside of like discussing the terms that this is going to happen. Then I want 7 dinners, 6 dinners, 1 night off, no notice, 5. They go back and forth, and they end up agreeing on the terms. And he wants a key to the house because to cover up things and to be with his daughter. He's not going to be denied of that situation. Get back to cooking. And then while they're cooking, Jesse looks at Walt and goes, hey, tonight let's go have a beer. And he's like, no, I'm good. He's like, no, have a beer with me. He sits down with him, and he passes meth across the table in this like lit bar. And it's like, is this ours? Like, what the fuck are you doing? And he's like, yes, it's ours. He's like, they're selling it with kids. And then he comes up with the plan that he wants Ryson. He wants Ryson to kill him that way. And he said, there's apples. It's apples and oranges. It's not the same. Tuchel was going to kill us. These guys are not going to kill us. It's not going to work. So he ends up going through the plan. Jesse's like, if you're not going to do it, I'm going to do it myself. Like, basically just says, F it, I'm going to do it. Walt and Walt Jr. and Hank and Marie are playing cards, and he's like, basically, did you hear, Walt? Yeah, he can get out of this whenever he wants, blah, blah. He's like, I can't until I walk. He's like, are you saying anybody in a wheelchair should be in the hospital? What about crutches? Should I be in this? Like, just deal, little prick. Like, basically, just like doesn't like pay up to him at all. It's so funny. Walt comes up with the genius idea, like, what if we just throw Jesse in jail? What if we get him down for jail? Saul's like, okay, I mean, we can figure it out, like, if that's the case. Jesse meets with Wendy to help him with the plan of the rice and like the drop off. And then I think not the scene of the episode, but one of the best scenes of the series when not Hank,
Mike. Yeah.
Mike. When Mike comes over and talks about the half measures,
Mm-hmm.
sits there and has a conversation with him, and he's like, there was a guy, he kept beating on his girlfriend and doing all the stuff, and I went one way. Like, he's like, I let him go and went out. He did the same thing. He kept doing it. And then finally one night I took him and I turned, instead of turning left, I took a right and drove him all the way in the thing, put a gun in his mouth, and I'm going to blow his brains out, basically. And he's crying and doing the stuff and begging for his life, which will be a callback. And he's like, I don't do anything like that. And I let him out. I decided to give him another chance. And the next day or whatever, next time he got out, he killed his girlfriend, like killed her. And now that I no longer take, what did he say? I no longer take half measures. I take full measures. Like, that's basically what he says. It is arguably one of the best scenes. Like, with no action, no edit points, just communication, just talking. Like, Mike is a great storyteller as his character. It's great.
Yeah, these 2 episodes are great Mike episodes. Yeah,
great Mike episodes. So Wendy and Jesse are sitting in the car, and they're going to do the rice, and then Mike, and I don't know his name. I just call him basically his Gus's right hand man.
Gus is I don't want to say his number 2 because Mike's more of an independent contractor number 2. So
yeah,
but yeah.
And then sets up another amazing scene where they drive him to the trailer. He walks in, the 2 guys are sitting there, Gus is sitting there, Walt is sitting there, and Jesse's sitting in there. And basically they send him out there, and he's like, they work for me.
Mm-hmm.
This man, if it wasn't for this man, you would be dead right now. Like, I would be handling this way differently. Do you understand? This stops now. There will be peace. And Jesse goes, no, there will not be peace. And everyone's face in the scene is working overtime because they say nothing but say everything.
No.
Like, Walt is like frozen. He's like, what the fuck? Like, no, duh. No one stands up to Gus. Even Mike's like,
this is like the closest we see Gus to losing his cool.
Yeah, he's like, they use kids. Your guys use kids. If that's your order, whatever, I'm not doing thing. They call him back in there. They basically say, no more kids. Like, Gus gives them the order. You're no longer using kids. Done deal. Walt and Jesse leave. They have that conversation. Like, Walt's trying to talk to him. As soon as he gets to his car, Jesse flies out of the car. He has nothing to say to Walt, basically. Then we get some relief in multiple ways. I mean, Hank and Marie have honestly a really funny scene.
You got to give her a hand. She figured out a way to get him out of there. So
she ends up telling him if he can basically get him off in the thing, that we can go home. And he's like, it's not going to work. Which, Hank has got the biggest ego in the history of the universe, because any man in that situation should make that bet. He makes the bet. All right, whatever. He loses because it's one of the funniest scenes. They round about, they leave, and they're going. And he ends up like that scene where it just basically cuts and he's rolling out and she's just smiling. It's great moment. Jesse and her are sitting in the bed. She gets a phone call. The 11-year-old boy's been shot. Basically, the boy that's been running the drugs was taken out.
Her younger brother, yeah.
Her younger brother. And this sets up like one of the things. We also get a callback, or pay attention to it. They're listening to Jeopardy, and Walt Whitman's name gets uttered on the thing. And I think that's funny. If you don't know, pay attention to the name. It's there. And they have a moment. He gets a phone call. He's like, Jesse, like, he hears the newscast of the kid being killed. And he first calls Jesse and says, hey, I didn't rat you out. I didn't say anything. They knew this, blah, blah. I did this to protect you.
Yeah.
He hears it. He gets in his car and he takes off. Like, he just knows something's coming up. And then it's one of the oh, if I could bottle a scene like a 2 minute scene, like this is one of my favorite moments. But Jesse's in the car, he's got the gun, the two guys are on the other side. He puts the gun in his pocket, he starts walking forward. They in terrible shot, like blurry shot, like you don't see the make of them really as, but you see them both they're out of their car, they're walking for him. Then you see them have guns, he has a gun, and they're going. And as soon as Jesse draws, as soon as they draw, and then you see a fucking Aztec come flying through and destroy two of them. And he gets out of the car. The first time we ever see Walt do what he does in the scene, he's laying on the ground. He picks up the guy's like going towards his gun. Walt grabs the gun, point blank range, fires it in his head, and looks at Jesse and goes, "Run." Over.
Oh yeah, it's Walt's gone. It's Heisenberg now.
It's Heisenberg. It is 100% Heisenberg. He has officially snapped, and he snaps even more in the next episode. But it's like I'm at awe from this episode. I remember like loving, but like liking Breaking Bad a lot. This episode happened. It was like injected into my like I remember that week in college when I watched. I don't think I watched anything else, and I don't think I did anything. It was like on every. I couldn't stop. It was a hooked. So that's Half Measures. I think it's arguably one of the best lead into it season finales of the season, of the series, of the shows. I think it's arguably fantastic, brilliant. Interested in Mark, if you want to touch on the first episode, you can. But if you want to just talk about Half Measures, you can as well. Go for
it. Real quickly, ABQ. Like, I thought it was a pretty good episode. I think it perfectly leads up into kind of what is the pure conflict of this episode. I think it leads in like a way we didn't see it coming. That Andrea has a connection to Combo being killed. It was actually her kid brother, and I think they just kind of throw in there just kind of out of nowhere, leads into Half Measure, which it's an unbelievable episode. It just from start to finish, from the beginning windy montage, great, and the lead into the sit down with everybody. Such an all-time scene. Just so much going on in there, because we see Jesse super pissed, and then we see Gus, maybe like the most angry and sinister I think we've ever seen in the show. And Jesse doesn't completely comprehend exactly what he's seen in this person. Just Gus is full on giving him just the death glare. And then when we see Jesse stand up to him, it's like, whoa, what? Okay, what's happening here? Is Jesse about to get a bullet to the head, like right here at this table? Like, what's going on? Like, maybe one of the greatest Jesse. It's maybe arguably one of the best Jesse moment of the show. In the sense, even though Jesse's completely out of his element, he's still willing to stand up to Gus. Definitely the first moment.
He's the only one.
Yeah.
Up to that point, he's the only one that's ever stood up to Gus. Besides the cousins, but they don't really say anything. He's the only one that has ever and that's why I said when you were away, everybody's face in that scene when he says no. Like, motherfucker, I just gave you I pardoned you. You're not dead because I say it so, and you just said no to me. Like, what the fuck are you thinking? What did you think of the Mike scene before that when he's talking about the Half Measures?
I was very open before that. I think Mike is probably my favorite character of this entire series.
He's so many people's favorite, and I totally understand.
I think it's no surprise to me that the season in which that probably features Mike the most is now probably the best season, the best season of the show so far. It's because we got more Mike. It totally makes sense. I mean, I feel like I got to a point before where I feel like I could have said Mike's half measure speech like just completely verbatim. Like it's so it's such a perfect lead in to what happens for the rest of the episode. It's just so freaking cool.
For the rest of the season, yeah.
Yeah, but no, there's that whole sit down is a great Jesse moment, and then yeah, I will be honest because like I think kind of like you, Cody, and I'm not 100% because Matt, were you watching as the show as Breaking Bad was coming out? I don't remember.
Yeah, I was watching from episode 1. Yeah.
Okay. Much like you, Cody, I did not jump into Breaking Bad till well into the show. I think I finally had jumped in till when they were in the break of the last season. So I knew like the big thing that happened at the end of this episode. Like I think I saw it like pretty much every day from like whenever Breaking Bad would cut a promo for its new season. Like it's like probably it's one of their favorite shots to show, like to kind of show the show. So I knew it was coming, but but it's one of those like it's a great moment when you know it's coming, but you don't care, and it's still awesome, and it's still awesome. It still hits, and there's like no like it almost like it's an unruinable scene. Like it just hits you no matter what.
It's arguably, as somebody that was spoiler free from this show, that knew none of it when I started it, because I watched it when it was available on Netflix streaming. Like I missed it, right? And I'm also there. I'm a Better Call Saul. Like I've avoided that. I avoided everything leading into it, spoilers, whatever. Because when I love a show and I know I'm going to love a show, I don't want to wait. I don't do the wait. So I was like, I'd rather the whole thing finish. Now with House of Dragon, and I'm currently consumed in week to week. Game of Thrones is in my veins. I can't pass it now at this point. I just always scared of Better Call Saul because I never wanted to go back to something that I didn't know if it was as brilliant as this. But sitting there last night and watching that car hit those people again and him getting out and shooting them and yelling run, I felt the same way I felt watching it now that I've watched it multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
It is something that I know it's coming. I've seen it happen a million times. I've heard that line, and it still initiates that reaction. I need to watch the next one. Like, I need to watch. That's the same thing like in Game of Thrones, if we ever get there. When Ned Stark loses his head, it does something that just triggers and just continues on. Like I can't stop it. Like that's something you're on great television. So yeah, Half Measures is just absolutely great. And for some reason, when I first watched it the first time, I thought it was earlier in season 3. I forget that it's right at the end, like when he does that. And to see Walt doesn't. The funny thing is, Walt's always hesitated when he's had to make a big move. Mm-hmm. This time there was zero hesitation. He left that car. He saw him still alive and looked right on the ground for that gun, picked it up, and thought nothing. We've never seen Walt shoot anybody in this. Like he's never picked up a gun, has he? Up to this point,
he's had a gun, but he hasn't. Yeah, he hasn't fired a gun.
He's never fired it himself.
Yeah.
And this is the first time he finds it and just puts it right to.
I mean, the first season, it took him like 3 episodes to kill that one guy. So yeah, it's definitely
run. And you hear the drop in volume in his voice when he says it. He's like, oh, the same reason we see the first real glimpse of Hyde from Gus. He is no longer Dr. Joe. He is Hyde. In this, when he yells at him, he's like, the only reason you're still alive, basically, is because the respect I have for that man. And then he does that. And he does it so willingly. He doesn't know. I think he does it out of instincts, right? Like, he's like, he cares for Jesse in some capacity. More than he cares, because I think it's like in his head, like, if anybody's going to take out Jesse, it's going to be me, basically. It's a weird concept because he's always there to protect Jesse, but he hates Jeff. Like he cares about himself more. He puts himself fully online. He fucked with Gus now. This wasn't Gus demanded peace, and 8 out, 10 hour waits. He says it next episode. He said he couldn't keep peace for 8 hours.
Mm-hmm.
He does it, and he fucks them both up. And I mean, we'll get to it next episode. Matt, did you have any more on full?
I mean, it's just crazy that like this is probably the best episode of the show so far, and then next week, arguably, there's one even better coming. So I mean, I remember watching it live. That's pretty much after this episode. I called my brothers like, "You got to start watching this show." It's just yeah. Now, one thing, do you guys think that Gus okayed the death of the kid? Because
Yes.
But Gus is their boss. They're not going to do that without his.
They don't act without him.
No. I know in the next episode he says that I would have dealt with them myself, but no, they don't do that without his okay.
Gus, those two level employees do not act without his call.
And Gus is about cleaning up loose ends too. So.
No, and that's putting them on a high alert thing. Here's the thing. What I honestly believe, he wants Jesse out.
Mm-hmm.
They kill the kid. Jesse comes out of hiding. Jesse was supposed to die that night.
Yeah, Gus is pretty much using
that was the plan.
Pawns. Yeah,
that was the plan because what happens in Full Measures makes perfect sense. Why Gus does what he does because his plan was he never wanted Jesse. He told Walt from the start he didn't want Jesse. He okayed Jesse, and now Jesse is fucking with his situation. That kid's never been a problem for him. He doesn't care what they do. They return the amount of money that they're supposed to return. So his plan was they don't want kids, fine. When he said no more kids, that was the message to those two to shoot the kid because it will pull Jesse out of hiding and Jesse will get killed by you two. Tough, done deal. Because he's careless. He calls him a worthless junkie in the very next episode. He does not care. I think that's been my theory from the very get-go. Gus ordered the hit. Why saying no more children? He doesn't say stop using children. He says no more children, which is a clear indication that they are going to murder that kid.
You know, I honestly never thought Gus ordered the hit on the kid. You guys have made some pretty good points. I could be swayed.
And there's a line. There's a line in the next episode that I almost am very confident in because of what he says. But we're going to Full Measure, which is perfect how they balance the episode, half measure to full measure. We get a flashback, which is pretty funny, of the house. Young Skylar and Walt with hair, walking through their house and be like, let's splurge a little bit. Let's not do a starter home. Let's get this house. Don't know how much money you're going to need a lot of money in the future, but whatever. Don't worry, I'm going to sell meth. Very cool opening. Past the cold open, Walt sitting in his car in a field, basically. Sees lights come over the head. They're sitting there. He gets a phone call from Mike, which, again, understand why Mike's everybody's favorite character. He's like, Walt, what I need you to do is start walking forward to me. Well, I'm going to need some assurance before well, if it helps, I could kill you from right there if you want me to, but start walking. Walt assumes, puts on a very... he puts on the hat. That's basically the sign feature. They go in, they check it. Mike's like, man, let's just get this over with. Let's see how this one goes. Ends up sitting there with Gus. One of the best scenes in the show is when Gus gets out of the car. Gus goes, has your health condition worsened? You're not sleeping? You haven't hearing voices? No, I'm actually in good health. No, you're not. If you were, you would have not done what you did. Nobody in their right mind would do it. And he's like, I use this quote more times than I can count. Explain yourself. Just like the most deep. Explain yourself. When anybody screws something up, I've used it with my kids numerous times when they do something. Explain yourself. Basically, he sits there and goes, my partner was going to get shot. I intervened. And then Gus is like a worthless junkie. And he's like, yeah. They couldn't keep peace for 8 hours. And he said, yes, but after they saw the hit of an 11-year-old child, those guys killed it. So that's why he said, he goes, I heard about that. You should have let me handle them, take care of them. And he goes, yeah, that could have been the case, but maybe he thinks that was the order from you. And Gus says, do you think that, are you assuming that I ordered the hit on a child? And Walt says, I would never ask that because he knows the answer to the question. That's the situation that I know for a fact. He doesn't ask questions that he knows the answers to. Basically, he tells Mike and them, he goes, you'll never see Jesse again. He's a couple states away. Like, he's gone. He's a couple time zones. Not going to find him. Here's the options that you have. One, I go back to cooking. Me and Jesse are done. You leave Jesse alone. And I just continue to cook for you. We're done. Or two, you kill, or he says first, option A, you kill me. Two, you spend months looking for Jesse and you end up killing him. Mike's like, I like the challenge. Like, that's my department. I'm pretty good at finding. So that situation ends up happening. And then they square off and they end up going back. Walt goes back to the place, and Gale is back in the lab working with him. We see Mike. I love the scenes with like Mike and his daughter, his granddaughter. Like, they just have like such a like. It does look like a perfect like symbolism of who he, like the 50-50 of who he is, because he's doing that, and then they directly showed the shot of him going to the facility to just basically do a John Wick style hit on everybody in there.
Perfect with those balloons and everything. Oh.
Balloons, takes it out. I love the thing where he throws the shoe. The guy comes running down. He shoots him. The guy in the thing, and he's like lifting his arms like to where to put the gun, and he ends up killing him there. It's just like a brilliant, just little off scene. He ends up interrogating that guy in there. Walt notices something in the lab. The guy, can we find him? Does anybody find his name?
Victor?
Victor.
Yeah.
Victor is around. Victor doesn't leave the place, and Walt is becoming a little unstable by it. Gale, over the top, basically is like, you're gonna cook, like, I'll do everything you ask, like, you're a master, blah blah, basically sucking his dick the entire time. We see a shot of Gale in his apartment. He's cooking, listening to the whitest music you've ever heard in your life. And he what?
I mean, I don't know if it's the whitest, dirtiest bullshit.
It's the old white person.
Yeah, maybe not the whitest stuff, but
rich white person.
If you ever see what Gale would listen to, this is the most stereotypical stuff I've ever heard in my life. He's got a meeting. A person shows up, overly friendly Gus Fring is at his apartment, and basically asks him the question, if you give you an assistant, when can you take over this operation? Breaks down to him, kind of tells him that, oh, he's sick, he's got cancer, like that's why he's dying. Nothing else, not anything that he's going to plan or anything, but when could you? And he's like, oh, about 3-5 more cooks. And he stops there, and Gus just stares at him with that blank stare and goes, one more cook. I can get this down in one cook. Excellent. You'll be great at it. Blah, blah. Moves on. They're in there cleaning the kettle. He's asking more questions about it. Victor, Walt kind of tell him something, bring something up to him. Victor interjects, or Gale's about to ask Walt something, and Victor basically cuts the conversation off. That's where it's at. We get one of the best scenes in the show where Saul is on his back doing this thing, and Mike comes in. Listen, man, you're going to tell me where Jesse Pinkman is, basically. He's like, I don't know, man. Attorney-client privilege. Saul, I'm going to hurt you, basically, if you don't tell me. He's like, well, maybe there's notepad, but don't look on my desk while I'm out of the room. Don't look at all. Tells him he's in Virginia. And then we see Walt and Jess. Oh, we see Walt and Saul go to the laser tag place, followed by Victor. Victor is following him basically everywhere he goes. They kind of have that conversation that I'm being followed, like we're being tampered, like they're on us, they're looking for, like, things are getting sketchy with this side of it, like overall. He ends up talking with Jesse. He's like, they're gonna kill me. Like, this is where it's at. Like, they're gonna end me. Gail's asking so much more about the cook. The best solution is if Gail's taken care of. Jesse, I need you to do it. Jesse's like, I can't do it. So Walt's like, okay, I picked up a gun once. I guess I'll do it myself. Kind of have like a very sincere moment, like at home with like Walt holding his kid. Like, it seems like this could be Walt's last episode. It's like how it's kind of like sell it. He gets on the phone, like he's gonna go to it. He gets out of the car. Victor pulls up right when he gets out of the car and goes, "There's a leak in your lab. I need you to come with me. I'll follow you." Now they tell me to take you. You're gonna go in the car. He gets there. They do this ominous walk through it, like just straight on Walt's face the entire time. And then they open to the lab, and he's like, "The sooner you get this cleaned up, the sooner we can go home." Mike's there, and Walt breaks down. Basically, Walt breaks down. He's like, "Don't do this, Mike. Don't do this. Like, you can't do this. Like, I'll give you Jesse Pinkman. I'll give you Jesse Pinkman. I'll know where he's at. He's here. Tell me where he's at." Well, he moves around. Let me call him. He pulls up the phone to call, and it's one of the best episodes ever. The best moments where he pulls the phone and he calls Jesse. He's like, "Did you do it?" He's like, "No." And Mike's like real close to him. He goes, "I need you to do it. You got a 20-minute head start. They're going there. We're at the lab, and they're going to kill me. Go do it now, Jesse. Now." He hangs up the phone, and Mike goes, "What did you just do? I think your boss is going to need me for a little bit longer." And he just reads the address off to him, and Mike and Victor's face just drops, and they run.
God, the look on Mike's face that's
cinema. And then Mike he runs off, like Victor bolts, and the next shot we see is Jesse. Gail's cooking. The phone is ringing, and he's got that music blaring. He doesn't see it. He knocks on the door. Jesse's there. Jesse pulls the gun. He's like, you don't have to do this. Like, don't." And it ends with the gunshot.
Jesse's pretty much crying as he has to do
Crying because he doesn't, like, this is not who Jesse is, but Jesse has to do it. Kills it and fade to black. Episode over. Amazing into a season. Like, an amazing into a season. Especially that's the first time we see Mike. Well, we see Walt about to die, and then he, in that moment, instead of turning on Jesse, he's like, "No, go kill him. I'm standing up to them right now." Crazy. Just crazy episode. It's brilliant. I loved every bit of it. It's one of my favorites. It's full half measure, full measure is like one of my favorite back-to-back episodes that happens in the series. Go ahead, talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. There's nothing I can add. I mean, this is just fantastic. I mean, half measure, full measure together in one sitting is just. It's just some of the best acting on this show or any show, and it's just it works. I mean, I don't. It was so hard for me not to clip to that next episode to keep going with it, but yeah, it's just. I mean, we'll talk about it more when we actually do the ranking for the season, but yeah, it's just
63531 Tabo Apartment 6.
Oh God, just
no.
Face.
And when Mike pulls that clock back and goes, "Why? Your boss is gonna need you." And that's like trusting right now that Jesse does it. Like
Yeah.
at that point, he thinks he's very confident Jesse's gonna go pull that trigger. If we know Jesse,
Like, before they get to the apartment, Jesse never showed up. It's just Gail is like, okay, we can go kill Walt now.
we found kill him. Just shoot him now. So we're good.
Oh.
Also, Gail has to listen to his dorky ass music, and he would have gotten that call if he wasn't listening to like whatever the fuck he was listening to. That saved his life.
Yeah,
That's
Jesse
also
can't
one
kick a
of-
door down.
That's also one of Bet's mics when their face drops and Walt goes, "Yeah." What a just bullshit thing. Like, I'll send the address to you. Yeah. Gotcha, bitch. We play you play checkers, I play chess.
Yeah, oh, what's up?
I was gonna say that's when you once again the transition from the whining Walt begging for his life to Heisenberg right there, at like a flip of a dime.
Yeah, that's the closest a Walt Heisenberg flip. It's crazy. Okay. Are we good?
Yeah.
Again, three great episodes. I may have talked too fast, but I think honestly, if you want, I think how Wire and this is a very true line, right? Your guys have so many like mini storylines on top of each other, so they build and take long to get through every bit of it. This is Walt and Jesse or Hank, and like they're very, and everything's touch and go, and they're all connected. So it's pretty easier to do the recap of Breaking Bad. Okay, so just to make sure I have this right, I don't know if I do. When we ranked the previous seasons, we had Wire. Did we have Wire season 2 above season 2 of Breaking Bad, or did we have it under Breaking Bad season 2? I can correct that going back.
I think we put it as like a tie.
That may be okay. It's tied at that point.
Yeah, because we put like the first season of Breaking Bad, first season of Wire were like tie, but
yeah, I think I put Wire ahead of it just to make it look that way. But
yeah.
Okay, so final one. So the one to rank this episode is the season 3 of Breaking Bad. I'm going to get this out of the way because I understand if we're not everywhere. This is 5-star. This is a 5-star season. I have zero complaints. The start to finish, the character development through it, like throughout, and I agree. Guess what? I want to let everybody understand this too. Season 4 will be a 5. Season 5 will be a 5. They may rank differently, but all of them will be the same. I think they are the 3 best seasons of television that I've ever seen. The Wire still has chances to like prove me there, but there is not something in Breaking Bad season 3 that I would change. Where, yes, there are like ups and downs. The Fly episode exists, all that stuff, but I think it all makes sense to end with these 2 fire episodes. And we have 1 minute in this, and the lead to 1 minute and where that all comes from. It's just there's multiple building points, payoffs, calm downs, build back ups. It's a 5 for me. I understand if not everybody feels the same way, but that's where I'm at. Whoever would like to go next.
There are definitely it takes a little bit to get going, and there are some ups and downs, like you said, and there is the Fly. But I mean, any season of a show that has 1 minute, half measure, and full measure, it's got to be a 5.
Gonna make me do it. Okay.
It don't matter. It's gonna be a 5, but 2 people agreed. So deal with the consequences.
No, like I definitely have a couple issues with this season. I think there's definitely some times when I think we're kind of just a little slow getting there, and especially, I mean, we also had last week where we kind of had like 3 filler episodes in there, and then we get here, and this week is amazing. Like, ABQ, half measure, full measure are fantastic. They're unbelievable. It's definitely one of the best series finales.
We
I
also
think
get Sunset and 1 Minute all in the same. Those two, like Sunset with the RV, where Hank shows up to the RV and almost catches Walt, like that's in the season. Like,
yeah, it's really good. It is still one of the best seasons of television. I think, honestly, of everything we're talking about, I think we have several best seasons. We're talking about several of the best seasons of television in this one. So, yeah, I'd still be very high. It's 4.5 out of 5. It's super high. Yeah.
yeah. So I think that's what that.
Me personally, I saw the first season of The Wire ahead of it, but like first season of The Wire is probably one of my favorite seasons of The Wire. But that's just me personally.
Did we watch the same thing? The fuck, Mark.
I just told you it's probably one of my favorite seasons of The Wire.
That's fair.
Probably number 2 in terms of like The Wire. I think it's the second best.
You are a slut for it. That's fine. I'll give you a pass. Yeah, but I'm like, again, I expect you to say that for that. Everybody should expect me to do this for Breaking Bad. Like, it makes no sense. But again, I think it's crazy when you think about like a season, like we talked about, like those 3 episodes, like 5 episodes in this season in a 13 season run that are probably 5 out of 5s, like in rating. You may not get a season finale in some shows of seasons that have 13 episodes that are that fire. So I think that's impressive. But I definitely the fly is there. We do have to deal with the carnage of the plane crash and him getting sprayed by the mace and getting killed up by the cops and stuff like that.
Well, one thing that we forget to note that in Half Measure, the windshield survived that hit and run.
It does.
The first time this season.
Crazy. Oh, and I do love when Mike goes, "What did you do? You said you don't take half measures," which is.
It's funny how that might be open to interpretation.
Yeah, it's crazy. When I told you that, yeah. Brilliant. Okay, so I think that's safe to say that it is now that takes the number 1 spot at the top. I know. Well, okay, that's me being biased. Me and
Matt. The scores for season 1?
I don't see how it doesn't. The way we
4.
scored it, like it just.
Yeah.
So
it's almost a full. It would be almost a full star higher than The Wire itself, even though Mark gave it a very high rating. But right now, it says Breaking Bad season 1 and Wire season 1 are tied for 1. Overall, but this would be the top spot, which I think overall Wire season 3, if it continues as it goes, will also pass those other 2 as well. I think it will be up there in those ranks. But all right, anybody disagree with that rank?
No,
because it's definitely better than season 1 of Breaking Bad. Like, I will not.
Honestly, I feel like we can knock Breaking Bad season 1 below The Wire season 1, and then put Breaking Bad season 3 at the top right now.
I'm okay with that. Yeah.
I would like again. We rated it that way, so like I would have no issue with that.
No, we didn't. We rated it the same. So just want that on the record. We said it was tied, but I will concede. So that's fine.
Yeah,
because I would take everything in this season and leave Breaking Bad season 1 on the back burner and be fine with it. I'll be 100%. I love it. This is my thing. So.
Yeah, this is really when Breaking Bad starts, and it's full course from here.
We on. Okay, so this was a long episode. Appreciate you all sticking in. We're still working out our kinks and like our summaries and stuff. And we had to rank a show and we had to finish it. So next week we will do 7, 8, 9 of Wire and Oz. And then we will do 1, 2, 3 of season 4 of Breaking Bad. We'll be back like over. Mike says he will join us next week. God, we may go 3.5 hours. So we may need to start earlier next week. We'll find out. We'll figure out Matt's movie schedule. But overall, we will be back to rank more TV. So see you then. Bye.